Hello, Parvision. How's it going this week?
It is my duty to be here. That's
Yes, it
how it's
is.
going.
You are obligated by contract to be here. Kind of like how we're obligated to watch 8 volumes of Yamato walking around the flower capital, and they're just now departing on their journey. I think it's so funny, man. That's hilarious. What a great way to start it. But yeah, like, are we gonna start seeing Yamato like, a quarter of the way to the first town, halfway to the first town? Like, I'm so curious now. Not like I dislike the pacing that much. It's just
Yeah.
that I was expecting something crazy to have happened already.
Yeah.
We go back to the Jeremy cover page stories, and by volume 8, volume 9, they're over here like busting into Whole Cake Island, rescuing their tortured brothers. And obviously Yamato's like journey isn't going to be like that. Yamato, instead of saving their family, they're more so just traveling around Wano, so it's supposed to be peaceful. But
hmm
it's like, damn, this is very peaceful. Like we're over here just eating bento, kind of whistling a tune. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
I do wonder like how long it'll take until things get rocking. But hey,
I
maybe, who knows? Like maybe we'll be like 30 volumes in, and Yamato's still gonna be doing this.
You could think that maybe there's like a specific number Oda is about to hit, and then he's gonna introduce a character or introduce something, or like a Ryuma thing or something, or maybe in the chapter something happens and he's using this to stall off. It's like setting off, eating food, and then it's like Yamato discovers gold, and it's like, wait, what? And then like all of a sudden we hit something of substance, and it might be that Oda's using this to like stall out, which as far as the cover stories goes, it's more forgivable than like a chapter, right? Like nobody wants a filler manga chapter where we're just waiting for something because
Oh
Oda
yeah.
wants something
And we didn't
specific
get
that line up.
we didn't get like a color spread or like a fan request too. So it's really nice seeing that Oda's progressing these back to back to back. And yeah, like I mean, we've seen a prime example of Oda tying in a cover page story with the canon chapters too, right? Because we had the one with Blackbeard. He was fighting Law, and then we see Pudding in there, and then in the cover page we see that Kuzan and Van Augur are the ones who captured Pudding.
Right.
So
right.
that's really
a great
nice.
example. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had the chapter with Buggy and Cross Guild, and that was on International Clown Day. So it's like Oda, he sometimes does pay attention to these numbers, so he could be stalling out. He's waiting for a big one to release, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and the Blackbeard one is kind of the thematic right now. I feel like I think there's so many Blackbeard Wano theories that exist, to the point that Shanks had a Blackbeard Wano theory, and he was just like, "Huh, I thought he was going to Wano," and then like when Caribou came in, and it's like, "Huh, I think Blackbeard's going to Wano," and now it's
Yeah.
like and then in the Vince Smoke store, it's like, "Huh, I think Blackbeard's going to Hulk." So it's like it's you
It's
know
there. I mean, literally, I think a lot of people could go to Wano and come out with the big W.
Yeah. And
Like there's just so much to get there.
I'm not gonna go out and say that this entire chapter and everything that Oda does is super telegraphed and super predictable and easy to foresee. But like Blackbeard development is like, yeah, I mean, Egghead is literally like on the other side of the coin. It's like I would argue that Blackbeard's the most active character. Like my guy is jet setting the entire new world right now.
Oh yeah, he wants to become
Claiming
Pirate King, dude.
Yeah, yeah. And then whereas Luffy is just like, hey, Bonney, want to feel free? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So we got the first page this week, and it's of the ancient giant robot. And he's
Emphasis
falling
on
into the water,
giant.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
jump overboard. Is that a metal creature? It's gonna sink the ship. And then you see him like take a back tumble onto the water. And this is something we didn't talk about yesterday. Like the robot being knocked back so far, he lands in the ocean. Because I feel like the general consensus is that the robot, he got knocked down, but he'll probably just get back up or something. But him landing in the water, nobody really talked about that. And, going back to last chapter, you can actually see that he does fall in the water. It's just such a small panel, and he's so big that you kind of like assume that it's maybe just on land and we're getting an offshore shot of him. But yeah, man, the guy's sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Like, how do you feel about that?
I think three things. One, yo, the coast of Egghead is steep for him to sink. Like it's the legendary Iron Giant, and it's like already like I thought he was just like on the beach part, you know what I mean? But there ain't no beach. This
Yeah,
is a
it's like a
cliff.
big drop off, dude. Like, what the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah. And then the second thing that I noted is it's like the it's like the Avatar meme or it like One Piece meme too, where it's like the authors say like, oh, the main character doesn't kill anybody, right? It's like how many people do you think died with the legendary Iron Giant falling? Because they're like, oh no,
No,
it's
no,
gonna
no.
sink.
Everybody's fine. Everybody's fine.
Everybody-
No, no
I, like
Marines died here.
on the stream, I was like, ooh wah, and that was the final words of like 1,000 sailors, ooh wah,
No,
and
no, 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 no.
and you know, realistically, they died, but this is One Piece. Dreams live on.
Would they die in real life?
If a giant metal robot that dwarfed the ship fell onto the ship, I mean, I
They just float, right?
underneath the Iron Giant. I
Okay,
think the
underneath the
Iron
Iron Giant, yeah, they'd be dead. But like, if they're on the side, they could just float up. I believe in the Marines. Like Bluegrass said last chapter, they are heroes. Don't be fodder. You know,
she was talking about the vice admirals.
She was not. She was
Or
talking
on the
about
other side of the island.
Nope, she was talking about
they're-
these guys right here. Don't just be another face of the crowd. And that's what these guys are doing. They're going to swim up and survive the ancient robot's assault. Or Joe Biden stumble, whichever one you want to call it.
If they swim up, I think like and they survive this, I think that they like
Get promoted.
Yeah. Like they need like GARP training. You know what I mean? Like they earned it.
Okay, wait a minute.
Calling Egghead a literal god.
No. Hear me out though. They're not going to get promoted because they failed so horribly. I mean, everybody lost. Like, would you get I would not want to give somebody a medal for losing.
Yeah, okay, but losing against what? If I lost against like
no, I agree. Like it's a sun god.
Yeah, like that's not even.
But hear me out. Like they didn't get any W's though.
They saved the Cypher Pole agents.
By they, you mean the Gorosei, Kizaru, and all of them, and the vice admirals. I don't think the fodder Marines would get this.
You just applied what was said to the vice admirals to these fodder things, and now you're separating them from the vice admiral.
I don't know what you're talking about.
A win for one is a win for all.
I'm just saying that these Marines didn't really get a win.
There's no I in Army or Navy.
It depends how you spell it. But that's the thing though. Like if you're a random Marine, like I feel like you have to do something significant to get promoted. Wait, what the hell do you have to do to get promoted? Like just beat a bunch of fodder pirates or what? I think that's the problem. If the Straw Hats had more fodder on their side, then I could see these Marines getting promoted. Like, oh, like I took down pirate A, B, and C.
All right.
And then it's like, okay, cool. But for the Straw Hats, like you can't say, oh, I took down Frankie. Like, oh, I took down Nami or Usopp. Like that doesn't happen. That's why we need the Grand Fleet here. We need the Grand Fleet here so that these Marines can get promotions.
Kobe let Axe Hand Morgans go. All he did was save Helmeppo. Ew. And then look what happened. Though. And then he did. He went from like remedial to like being personally trained by the hero of the Marines.
But that's not like a status thing. That's just like Garp saying, "Hey, I see potential," and that's it. It's not like a promotion.
I think it's a promotion.
Well, okay. No, I mean like a rank promotion.
Okay, not a rank promotion.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about ranks. You're talking about like life promotions.
Going from like nobody to being trained personally by Garp is pretty crazy though.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, but that's not a rank promotion though.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they deserve to be like trained by like Garp or like.
No, these guys. Okay, we're talking about people. We don't even see their faces, Par. all we get is the.
What do you want from me, son? You were saying that these guys are amazing.
No names, no faces. We just have noises. We have guttural noises.
And then I was just trying to give them training. I didn't want them to, and you're just denying them. Like, what do you want from me?
And plus, I don't want to be that guy, dude. But I'm a little bit toxic. So it's like the Marines we do see that are fodder, they're not kids. They're not like teenagers. Like these are, these are old dogs, man. Like, okay, how would you feel? I would say you look pretty young, but you're up there in age.
Yeah.
How would you feel about being trained tomorrow by like some old sensei? Would you take it up? I don't know, man. I think a lot of these guys are prideful. I think a lot of them are capped. And I don't think Garp would want to train these dudes anyways, right?
Oh God!
You put a picture of like a high schooler, a kid still growing in his prime, in the springtime of youth, and then you put like some old ass dude, mid-30s, like who would you train, right?
Yeah, you're right.
There's a reason Sylvester Stallone trained Creed, and not just the other dudes at the gym.
Yeah. Yep. He was younger.
That's how it is, man.
Yeah. So if they're under the age of 18 and they survive Egghead and they swim up, then do they get training? Can they get special? What do you?
No, dude. No, still no.
You just went on this giant thing about potential and age, and they're like, oh, look at these old dudes.
Like I said, I don't give out participation trophies, Par. That's how it is. Like they got to do something big.
I don't think surviving
clash with a straw hat, and then we'll talk.
Like, I don't think surviving the apocalypse is just a participation trophy at that point.
They didn't survive an apocalypse though. Okay. First off, it's the robot is falling on them, and then second off, it's not, if everybody's surviving the apocalypse, if everybody on the ship survives, then it's not exactly that special.
I'm not saying everyone I literally think that most of these people on this panel are dead. I don't think they survived. Like, these guys are
I think they should not get a promotion for this. No way.
Like,
no way.
What do you think? Like, the Jupiter, right? Like, did all the people that he ate, all of his allies, are they alive? Like, or is he gonna spit them out?
Oh yeah, I think they're alive. I think they're having. I like to imagine inside of Jupiter is a hot vacation spot.
So do they get a participation trophy, or do they get like reparations for being throated by their captain?
They get nothing.
They get nothing.
They're just alive. See, I mean, I don't give out trophies that often, man. Like, you got to do something big.
Yeah, big. But like, what? Like, if your captain sucks you off of your ship to the middle of the island, and then also told you to evacuate, like, yeah, you're at that point you're not participating, you're obeying. They told you to evacuate. These guys are loyal. Not only do they evacuate, they survive.
Yeah, but do you want a dog that just follows orders though?
Wait, that's the whole point. The vice admirals
I don't know, man.
Dogs.
Like imagine one of these no-name Marines says, "Sorry, Jupiter, I have a score to settle with Mugiwara," and then he goes off to fight the Sun God. I think that would be pretty hard, dude. That'd be tough.
It'd be crazy. Like, off of like the criticism of this chapter, not criticism, like the desperate aspirations to like pull something negative from the chapter. I think a crazy plot twist would be finding out Luffy was never the main character, and then we just see like a random Marine with like, he has like the MC sword thing. It's like, I've been waiting for this day. Joy, like Nika, and then he's like the antithesis. The entire story in the background, Oda's like, it's Panda Man. Panda Man's here. He's like, I've been waiting for this day, and he splits off and he becomes like Zetsu, and he has a white polar bear and a black bear, and then they combo attack Bonney, and then we find out both of them are dead, and then it's just a story about Panda Man. The entire story becomes a different.
That's kind of how it felt when we hit Saboti, right? When Kuma defeated the Straw Hats.
Mm-hmm.
Going from a week-to-week basis, I think Oda took a break that week too. So he literally got the Straw Hats being evaporated, and then Oda's like, "Yeah, hey, break next week, by the way." And then people are like, "Wait a minute, who's the main characters? Is that the end of Luffy?" Yeah, it's insane.
That'd be like, honestly, I think that would be like a revolutionary, crazy way to like end a story. Is just like imagine a world where it's like Saboti ends with the Straw Hats getting defeated, and they died. And in the story One Piece, now if you want to read it, you're now reading Kuma's story. Like, it's like you're reading someone else. Like,
Or
passed on.
even crazier, it just abruptly ends. Imagine
Yeah,
that.
like some people could just end there, but like, and then
He's like, "Hey, check out my next work, guys. I'm making a sci-fi thriller."
ironically, the person I was gonna say that carried it off of Sabodi would be Bonney, and like this chapter is kind of interesting with how that goes. It's like Kuma kills Luffy in Sabodi because he wants Bonney to take the mantle of
Yeah, take up the
Joyboy.
cape, bring over the dawn.
Yeah. Oh man, but like that would be kind of interesting. A story that does that, just like ends it, and you're just like, wait, what? For 20 years I've been following this boy only for him to get like clean slated by this random swordsman in the
I've
Marines.
actually seen that happen in a couple of mangas where like
Wait, really?
30 chapters in, the main
Oh,
character
30.
just dies, and then that's it.
No, I've seen yeah. I think I've seen one. Like, okay, one
It's like
example.
the Game of Thrones approach, right?
True. I guess Game of Thrones is a solid example, but that one's more like it's kind of like everyone's like it's kind of like the main character is like developing alongside a bunch of main characters. I think like Vinland Saga almost had me, I guess based off the way the anime did it, because I think the manga was different. But like in the anime, I was like, wait, the dad? No, this guy. And then in the second third episode or whatever, it's like, oh fuck. Like
Yeah.
spoilers, but you know, it's like
No, it's like
decade
a
time.
10-year-old anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. This is Science Channel.
So speaking of the dad, the robot though, he's falling into the ocean, and we hear his dialogue, and also we hear the snail as well. The snail says, "Hey," and their name was da 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 da, and then we kind of like stumble off, which is kind of interesting, right? Like you see the inside of the robot.
Yeah.
Like the snail is just like, I guess, chilling in a room inside of him.
Yeah, not doing the snail thing, because like it shouldn't matter that it's flipping and flopping. Snails stick. That's their thing.
He's not dead, right? He didn't take direct damage from Warcody. I mean, the robot did, but not the snail, right? The snail just got knocked over.
I don't know. All I know is that this is the most unsnail-like snail I've ever seen. I've never seen
fragile.
a snail fall. Yeah, like this snail tripped. What are we talking about? Like,
Yeah, like it should be sticky. I mean, here on Naked Island, when Saturn and the rest of the boys were going around killing the snails were like hanging upside down in the ceiling.
Yeah,
like,
and they only
you're
fell
telling me this
because
guy's falling over?
They were getting conquered. Like, yeah, I can see them getting conquered and falling and dying, but like, this is like he just got slammed. He got body slammed into water. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even his body.
Yeah.
And people are saying that the snail, since he's now in the ocean, the salt's gonna hit him and he's gonna die. But it's like, I don't think so, because he's inside the robot. Like, it looks like a secure room.
And then here's the other part. Why is the robot going glub glub glub? Is it drowning?
I think it's like the air inside of him.
The air inside, so it had air.
Yeah.
I guess if the air is leaking out, then the snail's time is limited. But it's just kind of like,
I think there's a chance that the snail comes back. I mean, just based on the fact that he's not dead or like passed out or has the X's for eyes, I think he's good.
How about this? Do you think that the message only is cutting out because it's underwater? So like the moment the robot comes above the surface again, the message could come back.
I don't think so. Let me look at last chapter. No, because it fizzles out right when he gets hit by Warcody. Not when he hits the water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
like, what about
I don't
now?
know.
Because like now that we know that the message can continue, do you think do you think that's because it's now underwater? Because like the video feed is like it's blurry, right? And it's like maybe there's a world where the message does continue. And we talked about this on the stream where it's like on the Parcast we had said like it's likely that this chapter we're gonna get more of the message, but we were kind of in the scope of like it would be like more like it would end-ish, but off of this chapter it's like I don't know if it might continue. And if it does,
I think it's going to continue. But I mean, wait, go for it.
No, I was going to say like how I guess like next chapter, because it's a break after next chapter, it would be like next chapter and then it's done. But like how much longer? This message is so long.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to get more of the message. Will we know the full context of what Vegapunk's saying? Probably not. I feel like we're either just gonna get the name or we're gonna get what the person's about. There's like Vegapunk could go on just describing the rest of the stuff. I feel like as we're going on, this message is still playing out. We're just not hearing it. So by the time we pick back up on the message, it'll be completely different or like a different topic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's interesting. Like here, and it's like, and their name was like, it might not even be talking about the person that like is the subject of the matter. Like, because this part before that could be like, among you there is a savior, and the way to find them is their mother, and their name, like, and the mom's name is like, it could be, or the dad, like, it could be something random like that. Like, that's how convoluted, like, or context. That's why the context matters so much in general when you hear a message. Like, even like in real life, when you hear a snippet from a podcast, right? It's like you don't know the context that was said in. So like that completely changes the meaning of that clip, that audio bite. And that's like what we're hearing right now. We're hearing like clips of part of something, and without the context, it's like, wait, even if he says Monkey D. Luffy, that means not nothing, but like we can't really get a meaning from it.
Yeah, we can't really extrapolate it.
Yeah. Unless we get like a complete sentence, then we can like start to like place it somewhere. But it is difficult. I like that Oda's doing this, but it's kind of like, damn, like, yeah, like how does the snail stop? Like, when do we know that the snail stopped? Do we get a heart? Maybe we get a heart meter for the snail too. That'd be kind of crazy.
Yeah. Oda needs to start putting in HP bars on top of every character.
Yeah.
That'd be so silly. Yeah, he lost like 20% health. The robot lost 30%. Just goofy things like that.
HP bars would be so hard to implement in Shonen, but like I would be okay with seeing HP bars. Yeah. Like, I think Sword Art Online did that like
for a second.
For like a second, and then like once it didn't matter, like because like he was just stuck at one because of glitch. It's like, all right, just never show this to me ever again because it doesn't mean anything. And then for everyone else, I guess it means something, right? Except for the main character. I guess you could apply it that way. The HP bar matters for everyone besides plot armored characters, which is the main character, which is Shonen. So,
and then for the Straw Hats, it's like all the Straw Hats,
Yeah, all the Straw Hats, and then anyone Luffy asks to go on the ship. Kinemon, Kinemon, anybody who's been on Luffy's ship, their HP bar doesn't matter. Kinemon was blessed by 1,000 suns, the 1,000 Sunny, and so that is why he has 1,000 lives. He's going to be known in the future as 1,000 live Kinemon. Boom, got it.
And this robot's gonna be the never-ending robot because holy crap, he's still kicking after 900 years, man. He is still lingering for Joyboy.
What if he goes the way of Law and Kid and he doesn't show up on the island again? He's just like,
no, he's going to. Yeah, like, but that would be funny. Like, imagine like a current just sweeps him away.
Yeah. Something like that.
So what I thought was kind of cool is like, as he's wondering where Joyboy is, we've seen like inner monologue dialogue panels kind of like this before, but this is one of the first times I've looked at it. I'm like, damn, these look like just a bunch of mini suns just in the pages.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Like when he says, Joyboy, where'd you go? Like the classic like circle with all the lines out.
Yeah.
And it's like, it looks like he's throwing out mini suns. But yeah, he's wondering where Joyboy went.
The font that TCB chose, I was like, what is this italics? Dude. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It just felt like social media. It felt weird. And because like all the other text is like kind of has like that drawn in look. And then it hit me with like the TikTok text. And I was like, huh? What is this? Why is he speaking in robot? And I was like, oh wait, he's a robot. That makes sense.
So he says, I wanted our paths to cross. You were here, right, Joyboy? How strange, how very strange. How did you infer that? Because I've seen a couple of different takes. For me, I think he just thinks it's strange because Joyboy disappeared. He's like, 1 minute you sense Joyboy, and then he's gone. Like, because Luffy's going in and out of Gear 5th constantly. I think he's done it like at least 5 times in Egghead Island so far. But yeah, this does give us context that he was going towards the Straw Hats. He wanted to find Joyboy. probably going to the source of the heartbeat. And I kind of feel bad for him, but it's also kind of weird. Like, he just woke up and he's like, wait, I gotta, like a man possessed. He's just walking in one direction to Joyboy, like not even paying attention to the Gorosei. He's not even wondering how he got knocked down here. Like, he didn't say, oh, god damn, it's a giant boar. Oh my god, it's the Gorosei. No, it's just like, oh, Joyboy. Like the guy, he's on a mission. He's on a mission. I respect it.
Yeah, I think I mean, the pain damage stuff, like, not that you'd expect that from a robot, but like you said, like, he is not acknowledging the like, okay, like Zunisha, right? When Zunisha was getting attacked by Jack, there was like reception of it, and I get it. He's an actual elephant that bleeds, right? So it's a little bit different, but he's also like a giant. He's like a continent elephant. You know what I mean? Like, he's massive, and like, realistically, would a single cannonball hurt? How many cannonballs did Jack shoot at him to get pain? Right? It's like Zunisha felt it and was just like, ah, shit, Momo, somebody, if you hear me, why aren't you telling me to defend myself? You know what I mean? Like, he actually responded, whereas like the Iron Giant's like, oh, I wish he didn't say anything about getting tackled, anything about his predicament, anything about, he didn't say like, wait, this isn't marriage law. Like, wait, this isn't the red line. Like, how did I end up here? Like, he's just like you say, he's just focused on Luffy or Joyboy, and it is interesting how kind of like nonchalant it is. It's kind of like a Superman kind of feeling a little bit, where it's just like he just got slammed, and off of
And he's
last
thinking about
chapter,
Lois Lane.
Yeah. Wait, what?
What?
Wait,
I thought that's where you were going.
No.
Yeah,
Wait,
like
what?
Superman's getting beat up, but he's not even thinking about the fight. He's thinking about Lois Lane.
I was like, I don't think he's trying to fuck Joyboy. What the hell? Because like,
No, he
Lois,
doesn't have to do that with Joyboy. I'm just saying, like, he's thinking about somebody else.
Gotcha. But yeah, like, yeah, he's like, where did you go? How strange, how very strange, right? And like you said, it's like Luffy going in and out of Joyboy or out of Nika or whatever, Gear 5 is interesting, because it's like, is that not how it's supposed to work? Like, is it's supposed to be more permanent than that? Like, him saying how strange, it's like, is that not how it was back then? But then also, like, a commenter brought up, like, like the Gorosei, you could contextualize it in a few ways, but like, Vegapunk said that this giant came from 900 years ago, which is before the Void Century, from the Ancient Kingdom. The Gorosei only recognized it from 200 years ago, which implies that they don't recognize it from the Ancient Kingdom, which you could take as like the Gorosei not being from the Void Century, or not like being knowledgeable about the Void Century, or like forgetting about the Void Century, or forgetting about like the elements of it. Like, that's like, all of that's weird, because you would think like the 200 years ago appearance of this thing was frightening because it was a remnant of the Ancient Kingdom. But at that point, based off that context, the Iron Giant showed up in Marriage Law, and they were just like, what the hell is this? Where did it come from? They had no idea this was the Ancient Kingdom stuff, apparently, allegedly, based off that context. And then it makes you wonder, it's like, wait, so like, was the Iron Giant like not with Joyboy like when he fought the world government? Like, or are there like absolutely no records of like Joyboy's fight? It's so weird and random. The Iron Giant's situation is weird and random. I wanted our paths to cross. Does that mean that like he wanted the paths to cross now, or was it that they never crossed paths before, and like he knows about Nika or Joyboy, but he never actually met Nika or Joyboy? Like, it's kind of interesting with like this context, and I honestly don't know, because like, we don't even know, like you said, like, was he walking towards Luffy? We don't know. We don't even know why he was going to Marriage Law. Like, at the end of the stream yesterday, we are talking about how like, based off of the developments with Bonney, it's like it possible that maybe a an awakening happened there, like towards like a similar extent of like Bonney. But then it's also interesting too, because then it's like, wait, the Gorosei said Nika hasn't awakened for 800 years, so like, were they lying? Like, did they? Because then you would think like, wait a second, if I am Saturn and I experimented on someone and they awakened partially or something, and then a giant motherfucking robot comes at me, I'm not now thinking like, oh, that's random. You know what I mean? Like I would be like, wait a second, 1 plus 1 or 1 plus 1. What did Terrence Howard say? 1 plus 1 equals 2, or 1 times 1 equals 2, or
One
something like
times
that.
one equals two.
Yeah. Like the Saturn's not mathing apparently. Like if that's how it would go down. So rather than think that his math wasn't mathing and he's just that incompetent, he couldn't figure out like, oh, I awakened Nika here, and the Iron Giant came, like, so that they're related. I'm just thinking like we still have to wait for the Iron Giant. I'm assuming next chapter is when it just like rises up out of the sea or something, because based off of how nonchalant it is, it's probably fine. It probably can just jump up or like rocket boosters or fly. Like it should be insane. And like
Yeah.
I don't see it being down for the count or dead or needing regeneration of some sort. I think it's fine.
I think
I think
what's
everything's
strange
fine.
about it is that, it's like, why is it sinking right now? Like, yes, he got knocked
Mhm.
down, but why is he not getting up earlier? Well, why does he have to wait for Joyboy? Because, the whole thing is that, oh, he needs the Sun God Nika drumbeat and maybe even the Mother Flame or the fire to fuel him. But we see that he's still like kicking, like the eyes are still on. He's still thinking in there. So it's like, oh, like, does he have the energy and he just doesn't want to do it? Does he not have motivation? Or maybe is his tank running on empty? This is one of those things where, you have the HP bar, but we also need the stamina bar as well, because I'm kind of curious about that. I want to see how
Yeah.
far like the gear fifth from the last few chapters has actually fueled him. Like, is this guy at full capacity? Is he not? Like where does he
Yeah.
fall? But here's the thing too that I'm kind of curious about.
Mhm.
He says, how strange, how strange.
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to do when he sees Luffy? Forget the second Nika for a
Mhm.
second, but when he sees Luffy, do you think
Yeah.
he's going to see Joyboy? Or do you think he's going to be like, oh, wait, that's not Joyboy. Like, he has his powers, he has his drum beat. He looks like him, but that's not the Joyboy I know.
Mhm.
Like, do you think he'll be able to distinguish the two people?
I think he'll be able to distinguish. Um yeah, like how, like you wouldn't look at Bonney now and see like that's Luffy, right? And like I think it's probably the same thing. I don't think you look like Zunisha didn't look at Luffy, right? Zunisha heard Luffy or heard
Yeah.
Joyboy coming out of Luffy, and it was like like to the point where they Zunisha was like, "Am I am I losing reality right now? Do I hear the
Ooh,
beats?"
do you think he's gonna
And
get like a thing where he goes to Luffy and is like, "Oh, Joy Boy, you're here," and then like we kind of see like the spirit of Joy Boy, because we know that Zoe and Devil Fruits have a will of their own.
Mhm.
So do you think like he'll start talking? I mean, the will is Sun God Nika, but do you think he'll like
Yeah.
realize that and just kind of like, oh, like even though this isn't you, Joy Boy, you're still in there?
Um. Yeah, I think it's kind of. I think it's kind of like it's how. Okay. I think maybe this works. Like Bonney had Vegapunk gave Bonney the command hierarchy over all Kumas. Any form of Kuma recreated, Bonney has control. I would imagine that applies when she's in her 12-year-old form, when she's in her 22-year-old form, or however old she is. If she turns into Queen Dowager, even in this Nika form, it doesn't matter what form Bonney is. Bonney always has that hierarchy. So I would imagine the like you said, like that will always has that hierarchy. And so it might, like, this would be interesting, right? If Bonney can't control the thing, the Iron Giant, but Luffy can. And again, this is all like based off the premise that this is how it works. But just for discussion purposes, like I would imagine that's like you know that could be why the Straw Hat Mare Draw is super important. You know what I mean? We don't know when that Straw Hat got there either. Maybe the Straw Hat was put there 200 years ago. Maybe that's why the Iron Giant went there. It could be that like that if that was Joy Boy's hat, then like he I don't know, like that something about the hat passing on wills, maybe that was related. Like maybe it might even be that like, hey, you have to listen to whoever has this straw hat, like something as goofy as that. It might be that that thing is a hierarchy chip. We don't know what the void century like tech or ancient kingdom tech was, but like if Vegapunk makes a hierarchy chip, like what form could it be? You know what I mean? Like it could be placed in anything, no? Like I would imagine it would be crazy, right? If that straw hat had like some kind of command hierarchy over ancient tech. That would be kind of sick. And it would play into like what the importance is of that straw hat. So I'm not really sure. It could be as simple as like that hat, like again, this is all hypothetical, theoretical, we're just discussing, but like if that hat at Marriageois was given there 200 years ago, maybe someone just put on the hat and accidentally said something, and then the Iron Giant showed up, and it's like, oh damn, that's scary, you know what I mean? Like they didn't realize that the hat was that connection there,
or they had a dance party, and they had a dance party and they're playing the sun god Nika beat. And then the robot was like, "Whoa, I gotta go."
The place where you get shot on sight for dance.
Maybe it's like just a random marine. He's like, "Hey, like I got my new AirPods. I gotta test this out."
Yo, that'd be crazy if like there was a bunch of Buccaneers 200 years ago that just started dancing like Clap, and then that maybe that's why Clap got shot on sight, because they weren't stupid back then, and they realized like, wait a second, the Giants showed up right when these hooligans started dancing in a circle. We thought it was harmless. We thought they lost their minds, but they were summoning some kind of freak, and so they just like, started assassinating every single person. That
is kind of scary, right? Like imagine like you go to your next door neighbor's house and he's just dancing in the living room, and then you're like, okay, that's weird, but I'm gonna leave him to his own devices. You come back 5 minutes later to check on him, and now there's like a giant like robot dancing with him too. It's like, whoa, like he summoned a monster.
Hey, I mean, it's kind of like
after that, I'd hate when people start dancing,
where it's like they disguise dancing and martial arts, and so it's like, oh, they're just dancing, it's fine. No, bro, you wait
they're
until
fighting.
They kick your head off your shoulders with those kicks. Like it in this case, it's demonic spirit, like summoning circle. Like they don't know black magic, but they do know dance magic, and the robot is privy to it. That it could be something like that.
Yeah,
it could be. Yeah.
I do think this robot will rise out of the water next week, though. Kind of like how the Vegaforce one was introduced by rising out of the water. I feel like this robot will follow suit, which I guess isn't super crazy. I mean, how else is it going to get out of the water, right?
You know what I just thought of?
What's up?
Do you remember? You remember this, obviously. Dragon Ball. The Supreme Kai, he did some kind of Nika like dance around Gohan, right, to unlock his like super Gohan thing originally. Remember, like he did like this for like mad long, but then wasn't the end of it was this like he did this around Gohan. Gohan was like and he's like, focus Gohan, and then Gohan's like, sure, and then there's just an old man going like this around him, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it something like that? Yeah. What if the Iron Giant is like underneath the water dancing, and he's just doing this underneath the water?
That'd be kind of cursed. I mean, you know, I'm not a big fan of dancing, you know, especially those dance moves. So I think it'd be kind of scary. I would definitely join Team Celestial Dragon if that happened.
We find out that that's like everybody's trying to make some other, aside from Bonney achieving what she did in this chapter, everyone's trying to find a different, like Luffy granted her the power, right? What if it's the Iron Giant just underneath Bonney, and then everybody turns into Nika? That'd be kind of crazy, right? Like
that'd
it's a summoning circle. Yeah. The Iron Giant.
That's when I'd have a problem with Gear 5th. Yeah, you know, you can give Gear 5th to everybody. Bonney, like you can give it to everyone in the series. I probably wouldn't mind. But the minute they start dancing, that's where we draw the line, guys. That's where you get angry Sai.
Sai's leading the forefront on Twitter.
Yeah. I'm gonna join the opposite team when that happens.
Yeah. He's gonna go on French national television.
I'm just not a big fan of the dancing, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, like and then you know, the Gorosei like insta killing people for the dancing would make sense then. It's like, oh shit, they're trying to summon
Yeah, no.
Nika.
The minute they do that, I'd be like, you know what? I do the same thing. Somebody should start dancing like
It
that.
all
Come
makes
on.
sense. Yeah, yeah. It'd be hilarious. Like, obviously this wouldn't happen because we see Luffy's reaction to it, but like it'd be funnier if Luffy also is like, nah, I get it, bro. That's cursed. Like,
Yeah, imagine Luffy doesn't like dancing either.
yeah, yeah. He's like sees the summoning of like white warriors, and it's just like a dancing around thing. He's like, nah, we gotta put an end to this. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
guys, we need more diverse movesets. Can we not all dance exactly the same?
Dude.
So, I was about to say,
That'd be
Warkity, man. I like how while this is all going down, he's just staring at the robot. He's staring at the water.
Oh yeah. Oh,
He looks
yeah.
menacing. Dude, these guys look huge. Like, one minute they look small, the next minute they look absolutely massive. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and then the one moment, like the Marines, like say like they know that they're like their bosses. I guess like Saturn has his face there, but I just loved it. It was like, now what the hell is that? That was clean. I hope Workery heard that. You know?
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like when Sanji says, another Gorosei. It's kind of like this. The Marines are like, wow, okay, now a giant boar? All right, yeah. A robot, a spider demon, the sun god, now a boar. Okay, whatever. I'm going home. Where's my
See-
promotion?
Okay. How about this? This is a small segue because like I'm upset that you're saying this is a participation trophy. I'm not even an offender, but like they're face to face with a literal monster man, and you're saying,
Oh,
it's a
congratulations!
participation
You didn't run away
Okay,
in
okay.
fear.
Okay, but like I forgot in Shibuya in JJK, right?
Yeah.
If someone came out of Shibuya alive and Sukuna was just there, I get that's not our participation, right?
That's participation,
No, it's not. He
dude.
nuked
Just
the
simply
entire
surviving
place.
an event doesn't warrant an award.
It's like there's a giant death zone, and that's incredible. Like,
See,
come
okay,
on.
okay. Here's the thing: if you had to fight to survive, sure. These guys aren't fighting. They're not doing anything. You could argue the same for Sukuna in JJK.
Sai, they volunteered
don't fight that
to
guy.
be here. They volunteered to be here. They
What do you mean they volunteered?
It was a cold call. They didn't have to come here. It was a cold call to all nearby ships. Some people didn't go.
Who
We
didn't
know
go?
this. Sword. They went.
They were planning on going.
No,
And then Dark
abandoned the
came over.
call.
He's like, "Hey guys, we got to go save Kobe."
all right, fair enough.
It's
But, like,
not
they
just a
still-
cold call. They were ordered.
Yeah, but like other people could have went to go save Kobe. Actually, no, they didn't know. But like some people didn't. Who would know? They didn't do roll call. They didn't. You know,
They're gonna do roll call after this. They're gonna be like, "Hey guys,
Smoker is in the area. He didn't go. He didn't go to a sword, and he didn't go to the other place.
what do you mean he's in the area? Just because he's in the New World?"
Yeah, and he's on the ocean.
No. And we
What
don't
do
know
you
what
mean
other
no?
mission he has. Brother, you're saying everyone in the New World should be here, essentially.
That was the order, and some people didn't take it up.
Green Bull's not here.
Green Bull is an admiral. That's not fair. That's cheating.
There are
There's only
20 vice
3
admirals
of
not
them.
here.
These are the best of the
whole
best.
point of the Marines is that they cover the entire world. You can't have everybody here. But here's the thing too. They're not going to get promoted because they're here.
I'm not saying
It
promote it.
stands.
I just want something better than a part. I'm like their union lawyer.
And I am the logical man saying no. We're not giving them raises for this. This is what they signed up for, and they didn't even do anything.
They 100% deserve raises for this. What do you mean?
This is their job. What do you mean they deserve a raise? You know what? Like I said,
Egghead
the
is
minute they
not
clash
fair.
with Luffy, the minute they clash or shoot him, attack Frank, like the bare minimum. The minute they do the bare minimum, sure, you get a raise, you get a promotion. Right now, though, what the hell is that? A boar? Oh no, I have to swim because the robot fell in the water and the ship shook? No. We're not giving people promotions for nothing. Do you think we have the budget for that?
But like, what if like this is like Nam. This is like Vietnam. And it's like, I don't know, like nobody goes like, oh, you went to Vietnam and you just were there. You know what I mean? Like, if you just hear Nam and you're like, oh, respect. Right?
Everybody who
like,
went to Nam contributed, more or less.
Well, we don't know that. Some people might have gotten participation.
People did get participation trophies. And there's
I
nothing
guess
wrong
so.
with that
Like,
one because that's like actual real life. You know, like over here, they're expected to fight these devil fruit monsters. Over there, you know, like it's different.
wait, they're not expected to like get sucked in by a giant worm. They didn't sign up for, and then that being their own boss.
Devil fruits exist. I bet they see wacky things every day.
Yeah, but like even Luffy was like, nah, that's crazy wacky though. They're silly. That's not fair.
No, it's very fair. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
You're not giving them promotions. You're not even giving them
Nope.
like a slight boost.
Nope.
What about a medal? What Egghead Medal of Honor? What about
No,
that? Can we get them
that costs money to produce. 100 battleships, Par. You think we have the money to produce 100? Like, you know, let's say there's 100 people per ship. No way.
So many people. We literally saw giants eating some people. They had to fight giants. The resurgence of the legendary giant pirates.
And they lost.
Well, they weren't expected to win either.
I'm just saying, dude, like, I'm not giving out a medal to somebody who lost.
Admiral Sai, please, can we give our soldiers... This will encourage the masses.
See,
we'll get more influx of warriors.
Anybody, I'd be like a Kainu at this point. Anybody who asks for promotion, they're getting the lava fist treatment.
They're not
They're gone.
asking for promotions. I'm what was the term here? I'm the consult no, not the consultant. God,
defense
the
lawyer?
liaison? No.
Liaison?
Yeah, defense lawyer is kind of I'm the PR. I guess PR isn't work either. But like I'm trying to rally our troops, you know what I mean? Like we just sent 100 ships full of a bunch of people and they come back and
with
they're
no
fighting
results.
these demon gods. Yeah, and it's like now it's gonna discourage everybody. We have to boost morale. And they come back and they get nothing, no recognition, nothing. You know what I mean? Like no honor.
I'd give Kizaru and the Gorosei a medal.
That's it. Wait, what do you mean the Gorosei? What do you mean they were collateral damage this entire time?
Hey, but their mission was York. Their mission was York. Hey, W Gorosei.
They did more damage to our troops than everybody else.
Okay, to be fair, they got knocked out by Conqueror's Hockey. They just need more willpower. That's their fault. That sounds like a skill issue.
What about the people that got yeeted from their ships and sucked into the mountain?
That again, skill issue. They should have cemented their feet to the ground. Yeah. See, that's all I'm saying, dude. You know, like if in real life, sure, they would get absolutely annihilated. We'll give them trophies for that. But in the world of One Piece, where you can train yourself to be an absolute monster with or without a devil fruit, no way.
See, this is why you fell into my... What is Warcurry's... What is he the godhead of?
Justice.
I think as the godhead... What does the Navy stand for? Justice, right? They have it written on their backs. I think the godhead... Look at his face right now. I think that he is shook. I think he's looking at the strongest men on the battlefield. I think he's so starstruck. He's like, wow, these insects survived all of this. They survived everything. I'm gonna take them underneath my wing. They don't get the Warcurry's justice. Warcurry's gonna promote these guys to Cypher Pole. That's what's happening here.
No,
that's why that explains his face right now. Because like clearly Warcurry is a man with so many thoughts running through his head. We can't fathom the ideas that this guy every single time. It's like when Luffy punched him, he's like, damn, I need to promote the people who survived this punch. I need to, you know, like, how could they have possibly survived this? Like, my God, they couldn't have. I need to reward them. That's what he's thinking right now.
So after we get Warcurry, we got reaction piece back in full effect. We cut over to Alabasta, and they are reacting to the lack of a message. We see Koza, we see Toto.
Yeah.
We see a little kid who kind of looks like Blackbeard with the law hat. It's kind of a weird looking kid, to be honest. The one on the far right of Koza.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he's got like that law hat going on.
Yeah, it looks like Orphan Blackbeard. Yeah.
Yeah, Orphan Blackbeard combined with Law.
Yeah. Well, Orphan Blackbeard also had that hat too, didn't he?
He had like a cap. He didn't have like the Law hat. Yeah, because the Law hat's more like distinguishable with the little dots.
They probably just shop at the same store.
Yeah, they both made a little trip to Alabasta that just bought that fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we see Koza, we see Toto, we see Miss Monday, Mr. Nine, we see the chef from Whiskey Peak. We also see Leo and Rebecca. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I feel like this might be the weakest reaction piece. Just because, like, you know, like, I like Mr. Nine and Miss Monday as much as the next guy, but they're not exactly Damaro Black or Don Krieg, you know?
Yeah, this section of the thing was kind of, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like like we talked about it before. Um, a lot of the developments in this part of the chapter weren't. It felt like it could have been other parts of other chapters, or just like not entirely like it's very different from last chapter where like we got like swords like rationale, like very pivotal characters reacting to the various ramifications of Vegapunk's message. This one was just like dissecting the current state of the world and depicting on like what the public stance is on like Luffy, for example. So it is interesting because like Alabasta, right? Like Alabasta saying this is obviously the work of those dastardly pirates. I'm like, did you forget who the Straw Hats are? Like without the Straw Hats, you you would be a little sorrier than you are right now. You know what I mean? I like if your king was here, if Vivi was here, they might execute you for thinking
But
such a thing.
it does make me wonder how widely known it is that the Straw Hats saved Alabasta.
I think, yeah, I forget exactly because like when Vivi did her whole message thing, they had to hide their connection obviously because
Yeah.
like the Marines and stuff like that. Um but like what was it? Like Vivi, I don't know if she's like super vocal, but like she was pretty brazen about like her connections to Luffy with all the other princesses. She was taking risks out there right in front of the Marines. Obviously, Kobe and everyone was like, you know, is fine. But yeah, I do wonder if like since Luffy has been there and since his notoriety, if like they further recognize it because it's like Luffy got the credit of Dressrosa, so it's like, you know, um but like I guess Smoker's their God King, right? Because Smoker got all the credit for Alabasta.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
said
that's actually
Smoker's the one who
interesting.
beat Crocodile.
Yeah. So they should be like, oh man, if only Smoker was there on Egghead, he'd really lay down the law. That's oh yeah, Smoker's their like sun god Nika in a way.
Yeah,
Huh.
they're fake savior.
Yeah.
And then Crocodile the
Interesting.
pirate was their main villain, so it makes sense as to why Alabasta's leaning more towards the government side.
Yeah.
But the one that I thought was just hilarious was Leo. Leo, he's over here like, hey, I guess Luffy Lane did kill him.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
Luffy murdered Vegapunk. Yep,
Yeah.
said it. It's all done.
It's an
That's my
interesting
captain.
characteristic that Oda gave the Tontadas being like super gullible because they just believe everything, and it's just it like I wonder if there's gonna be like a plot relevance to it. I imagine the Void Century, the world government just told them something about Nika, and they're like, "Yep, that that makes sense. Yep, he killed our leader. Yep."
Yeah, and the thing is, we are going to see the Tontada in the Void Century too, because they existed that long. So I'm kind of curious to see
Yeah.
how they're going to play out. Like imagine we get to the Void Century and the Tontadas are super intelligent. Like you cannot lie in front of the Tontada. Like they will immediately pick up on it.
They're the ancient kingdom, like they're the scientists that created everything.
Yeah, they're
That'd
like
be
the
crazy.
automaton back in the day.
Yeah.
That'd
It
be
is,
so
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, like like his gullibility, I think, is also like like in a way, it's supposed to mock the gullibility of the other people who aren't like characteristically gullible, but like all these people have lived their lives and they don't question like the what they're being told, you know, and like for Leo, this is like a race thing. Like they're every single one of them is this gullible, and like you could see it on Rebecca's face. It's like, are you serious right now? You're joking, right? And it's like that's kind of like the reaction to like my reaction to Alabasta, I'm like, oh, come on, guys, come on. How do you where was Smoker when the fight? If Smoker really saved you guys, you might have actually seen him, no? And it's like the
Well,
funnier
he's
part about
smoke
that.
part. He can
The
blend
funnier
in with
part
the environment.
of that part was that Smoker left the island when the shit was going down, the prime time of like, I think it was like chapter 190 to the end of it. Smoker was literally off of the island. He wasn't even there.
But here's the thing.
He was
Here's the thing.
chasing down the Rainmaker.
His crew were on the island. They were in Alberta,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And plus,
But,
how many
I mean,
people
like,
have actually seen the Luffy and Crocodile fight, right?
No, and that's fair. But the point is, it's like whether it's Luffy or not, right? Like it's like them saying it because like they didn't, like you said, they didn't see Luffy do an evil thing or not, and they're like, oh, the dastardly pirate. So it's like them saying like they're believing things that they don't see, regardless of how it is, right? And the funnier part to me when I was reading it was the whiskey. I didn't know it was Whiskey Pete because I just didn't register. I just saw random blobs on the screen, and I was just like, I don't know.
You didn't
And
recognize Miss Monday?
No, honestly, after the reaction, I recognized the cactus. I was like, oh, that's the Whiskey Peak cactus. And then, because like you said, Mr. Nine, I was like, who are these people? And I just completely forgot.
It's like the Roshu thing all over again.
It's sort of, except worse, because like these characters were actually like there, like but like in my defense, Roshio was like a 1-to-1. Like he hasn't changed. He just got stronger. Like he had the same hair, everything. Whoever, like whatever numbers these guys are, the Prince guy that was Mr. 5 or whatever. Not Mr. 5, whatever his number was. You keep on saying the numbers. I'm just gonna keep on forgetting them. They were actually in the like multiple chapters. They were actually like part of the plot. Like, but they changed appearances. Like he looks like he's washed up dad, like midlife crisis. I don't know who's next to him. That I don't recognize them, either of them. The kid is honestly the most recognizable thing because I do remember the wedding, and like it's a kid. Like they just appeared, right?
Yeah.
The cactus hasn't changed a single iota, so like that's why I recognize.
Yeah, if you looked at the cover pages recently, then you'd recognize these guys because you actually see the glow up there. And what's interesting about the kid is that in the cover page, the kid's actually doing like the sun god Nika thing in the moon.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's memorable.
And
I like that.
I thought it was kind of interesting that they brought that in the chapter where Bonney, another kid, goes like sun god Nika too.
Yeah, this baby is probably gonna be one of the White Warriors by the end of it.
Oh yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. And so, but like the thing
growing
that
up
was
free, man,
was funny was they said the world government would never kill off the world's greatest mind, even if he did break a few laws. And it's funny because like I'm like, wait, do they forget about Ohara, the world's greatest minds? They killed them because they literally announced because they might use an ancient weapon.
But
whereas Vegapunk
it's different,
admitted,
though.
No, but Vegapunk admitted that he participated in wiping Lelucia off of the map and using ancient weapons to sink the world. Like he admitted that, and it's like, just a few broken laws. Whereas like the Oharans didn't actually, like, yeah, reading the history, but like Vegapunk read the history and used the weapons, and the Oharans was like, whoa.
But using the weapons was under world government orders, though. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, but killing people is killing people. He's apologizing.
But if you're working with the world government, then is it really killing people?
Well, those are the same. Well, that I guess like as far as
it's not like the world government's gonna be like, oh, Vegapunk, you created a weapon that we asked you to create. We're gonna have to put you down now. Like,
yeah,
like,
but
those are his employers though,
like,
so it's kind of different.
The demonization of Ohara didn't necessarily fall wholly on the reading the history part. They were like, they're gonna use the ancient weapon to destroy the world, right? And so it's like, oh no, we have to find Robin because she can reawaken the ancient weapons. Vegapunk goes like, I am the ancient weapon. I powered them. And so it's like the fear that they use to fuel the Ohara propaganda. Yeah, the history part, which Vegapunk, that's just the foundation. That's not even the Oharans didn't even get to the part of using it. And so it's like the logistics of the thinking here is at O'Hara, the world government said like they're gonna use ancient weapons to destroy the world. Vegapunk goes, if you like listen to it, he's like, I'm implying that the world government is using ancient weapons to destroy the world and sink it, and I am a part of that. And that is what they accused O'Hara of. And then here is like, I just broke a few laws. It is what it is. Like, he's the world's smartest guy. I'm like, wait a second. Are we listening to the same? Because the other part of it, and the reason why I think last chapter, I keep on saying this, that sword page is so profound because the Oda doesn't explicitly say it, but like what is said there is those characters are beyond like the common folk, which makes sense because they're sword. But that page implies what their mission is by the fact that what they implied that Vegapunk is saying. Vegapunk didn't explicitly say what they concluded, and whereas like these characters are kind of just taking like hearing things and going off of verbatim. And it's kind of interesting now that I think about it. Like Oda's giving like on the reaction piece, he's giving the spectrum of where people are placed in the world and how they react on it. And then by ending it with the mockery of like Leo, who's just like straight up just gullible, and then the reaction of like someone who knows Luffy and it's like, are you joking right now? And it's like it shows how the context changes based off how much you know and slash how connected to the world you are, right? Like the difference between sword or like a revolutionary of some sort, and Koza, for example. It's like Koza hasn't left his island, so realistically his perspective on this stuff is more limited than someone who has seen multiple islands, works with the world government. So like someone like in Sword or the Revs, they would have a more nuanced take, and like that's a, I guess, an interesting thing, like, you know, as far as I was, shitting on like the developments of this chapter, it's a good foil, I guess that's the right word, on the nuanced takes of last chapter. So that.
Oh yeah,
you
I
could
mean,
give
in terms
some
of
kudos to
dialogue, I
that.
really did like it.
Yeah,
I'm more
yeah,
so was just commenting on who we're getting.
yeah.
Like they're not
Realist,
exactly a Don Krieg, a Roshio. They're not exactly a Damara Black, a Crocodile. Like, you know, Mr. Nine, Koza, Toto. Like, they're not bad, but they're not my favorites.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Like
more so what I
there's a
meant.
few. Like I want to hear. Have we seen Hardus? Witheria? Have we
The
seen that
Weathery
guy?
people, no.
I want to see their talk. You know,
Nah,
I would.
dude. Forget with area, man. We need important characters. We need like Gaimon.
Gaimon, sure, but like, is he? It'd be crazy if Gaimon's connected. Island of Rare Animals, where he's literally in a box. Do you think he has the means
The means to what? Like do
to?
something?
No, like to get a snail to listen to the
Oh.
message. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
even
sure a
think he
snail's
has
on that
one.
island, like some weird cross hybrid.
Maybe. I guess so. Yeah, wait, I want Gaimon. Yeah, you're right. I do want Gaimon's thing. I
Yeah.
want Gaimon and Hardus. Those two.
I want Gaimon, Arlong, and Captain Kuro.
All right, fine. You're going for villains. I want Hody Jones.
Hody Jones would be good too, yeah. Hody Jones with Arlong, yeah. 2-in-1.
Yeah. Um. Oh yeah, and then they're like, wait, the world is sunk. What has been sunk? This is our era.
You know what?
Like
Oh wait, you know what I think would be really cool?
what?
Imagine we see Arlong and he's the guard watching Hody Jones's prison cell. He's now working for the Neptune Army, the thing that he made fun of Jinbei
Arlong?
for. Yeah,
That'd be crazy.
that'd be some
Arlong's like,
insane character development.
yeah. I mean, like Arlong, Hody was crazy. Arlong was like,
He was bad, but he wasn't
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Like what happened to him? Like with Fisher Tiger, even Jinbei and what Aladdin or
Yeah,
Aladdin or whatever, how you
Aladdin.
pronounce it,
Yeah,
they were like, it's understandable. You know what I mean? Like they literally got betrayed by some human dude. Like that would push most people. If Fisher Tiger didn't talk us down the ledge, we would be with Arlong right now, right?
yeah. If
And
Fish
so it's
Tiger
like,
didn't die, man, Arlong would have been friends with the humans.
Yeah, if Fisher Tiger took the personal L, he would have gotten the macro L, but he couldn't take the personal L that Otahime would have wanted him to take, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Arlong, yeah, that would be crazy. But okay, you're saying that, but if Arlong has that development, you wouldn't like him anymore.
No, I like him.
Really?
Yeah, why would I hate
But he
him?
wouldn't be a villain.
But he was a former villain that's changed. That'd be even better.
Huh?
Yeah.
That'd be even better.
Yeah, in a way, in a way. Because I'm
Okay.
assuming he, like, deep down, he's still the same guy, but you know, he's just he's trying out a new thing. I wouldn't mind it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not all black and white, Par. Come on.
Okay. What about this? Axe Hand Morgan.
I like Accent Morgan.
You want his reaction?
I mean, sure. I mean, oh, okay. Like, how many people can we get for reaction piece? Because if you say it can have an infinite number, I'm just gonna say yes.
What about this? What if we've been missing this all along? Axe Hand Morgan is the perfect character to be the man marked by flames and part of sword because he was let go. Garp just let him free. You think Garp just kind of like, oh yeah, that's fine.
I don't think he'd be able to carry the poneglyph out of Fishman Island. Like, he only has one hand.
Whirlpools.
Nah, I don't see it. You think he
But
just
he's
takes the
Navy.
axe and he's just like in the water?
Uh, I feel like Axe Hand Morgan's is kind of like one of the most not interesting, but like he was Zoro's dude. You know what I mean? Like that was the guy who tied up Zoro and put him on a thing. It was
Yeah, Zoro
wasn't
almost
even
died.
Axe Hand Morgan's. It was Helmeppo, right? Or
It was
Axe Hand
Helmeppo, but
Morgan's-
Accent Morgan's was he was like
The
watching the
authority.
whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Could wait, hold on. Am I like I might be like
Go for
noob
it.
here, but like does that Zoro lose to Axe Hand Morgan's?
No.
No.
Zoro was stronger than Accent Morgan's. It was more so just like Zoro didn't have his swords and he was willingly on the post.
And he was betting for the girl's life, not his. So he
Yeah.
had to like because he didn't want to, he's not like adopting the child. So
Yeah,
he had
because
to,
like for context, like Luffy beat Morgans in one blow. Zoro beat all the Marines in one blow. Like I
This isn't
feel
the
like if they were to
live-action Morgan.
switch, you know, like if Zoro fought Morgans, he'd probably take him down in one hit
okay,
at the time.
Manga Zoro in in Shellstown versus the live action Morgan.
Manga Zoro. Live
Live
action
action
Zoro
Morgans
was
was
struggling. Dude, it was a 3v1 against Morgans. It was like a raid boss.
Yeah, but that was because live action Morgan's was insanely strong. Comparatively, he was insanely strong because that Zoro was was jacked, right? Like he was lifting that giant safe and like, he was still strong, but like you said, he was struggling against Morgan's. So Zoro was still strong there, but Morgan's was insane.
No, I don't think so. Like it's hard for me to gas up the live action villains. I mean, it really is.
Manga Zoro. Not manga Zoro. Axe Hand Morgan's would be an interesting one because like I don't know. I feel like he might come back. I don't know why.
I feel like he could.
why.
I mean, I feel like if we wanted to, I don't know how much time Oda wants to spend with Sword and developing those characters, but if you ever wanted to develop Helmeppo, I think bringing back the data one last time would be big. It's kind of like how I believe bringing back Kaido for Yamato would be big as well. Just that one last interaction would be icing on the cake.
There's just something about letting him go that kind of just like I don't know why. I just feel like he's gonna come back. Like there's something's tingling that he's coming soon.
Somebody said Shiki would be a really good reaction piece character, and I agree. Shiki would be pretty cool. Shiki. I would want personally, I want Gecko Moria and Perona. What did you say?
Gecko Moria Perona. I was saying Rocks Pirates.
Rocks Pirates.
Yeah, because we got Rayleigh's reaction and Crocus's like reaction, but I want to see like Oda got rid of Kaido, Big Mom from being able to react. Shiki would be a good one. Whitebeard's gone.
Imagine we do get Kaido. Like this is how we get confirmation that Kaido and Big Mom are alive. Just reaction piece.
Yeah. I mean, who's the other like Bakins? Bakins could give us a reaction, but like we'd also need like do they necessarily know everything? I think Bakins would probably be maybe the most valuable to get a reaction from because she was also a part of Mads apparently, right?
Yeah.
So like Bakins would be a crazy one, and then Bakins would also be crazy because she also had connections to Higurashi, and we don't necessarily know Higurashi's full scope connection to Mads just yet, but we know Higurashi copied Bakins' face to get Stussy's like apparently that was the appearance. So
Yeah.
like Gloriosa, right, was confirmed to be Mads, right? Was that Gloriosa? No, I forget.
Gloriosa was
Taki.
rocks.
Gloriosa's rocks. Yeah, Gloriosa. Yeah, Gloriosa would be an interesting one, but I think Bakins might be the most interesting one now that I think about it. Oh yeah, Marco and Gloriosa might be react all together.
The reason well, you mean Marco and Bakins, yeah?
But yeah.
The reason I would want Marco and Bakins is because I want to see where they're at. Because last we left off, she was like, "Hey, please rescue Weevil. You know, he's being taken to impale down, or whatever." Yeah. So it'd be nice to see if Marco's on the move. We could be like, "Ooh, you know, he is gonna save Weevil."
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, because the other part of it too is, Marco has key information. Like actually, Oda has used like Marco's useless otherwise, other than like one of
Marco's
the most
completely useless otherwise.
Like
I love that story.
Oda gave him like the most cracked ability to just exist. Like he just exists, and there's no question about how he's literally an undying phoenix that can just go through hell and back and just make it. And the reason why he's valuable is he just perpetuates information. And so like when we were on Onigashima, we just got the random flashback of like, oh yeah, Whitebeard told me about the land of gods one time when he was drunk, and that ended up being like the only part where we got the idea that like kings or the Lunarians used to be up there. Without Marco there, we wouldn't have really known that, because we don't even know if King knows this, because like we don't know his backstory.
When I think back to Marco, go for it.
What were you gonna say? No, I was just gonna say Whitebeard's main thing that he learned from Roger was name stuff, because he didn't care about the Void Century, he didn't care about the One Piece. But when Roger brought up the D Clan, that's when Whitebeard's like, oh yeah, tell me about that, because like Blackbeard, I have a dude on my crew that has a name.
Yeah.
And then Roger goes a long time, and then Whitebeard's like, come on, bro, just tell me the thing. And so it could be that Marco knows about something about the D Clan, because when Whitebeard was drunk, he might have let something loose. And it might be that he actually knows some kind of important name. And so when we get the end of this message, it might end up being that Marco's reaction's like, Whitebeard did say that name. Like he might mention something around the D Clan, because that was the main thing that Whitebeard got from Roger, was the D Clan stuff. And given that Vegapunk's talking about the D Clan and might give us a name, Marco's reaction might come next chapter, and we might actually see him talk about that.
There's another character too.
Kureha.
Kureha, yeah. Kureha was the very first character that introduced us to the whole D Clan in like as a whole. Like, so the Willow D still lives on.
Did we already see Kureha in this reaction piece so far?
Yes, we saw Kureha at the very start. Yeah,
right. But you're right. So Kureha and Marco, I might actually put money down on Marco, or safe bet would be either one. But I'm confident Marco, Bakins, they're coming up next chapter. That would be crazy.
I feel it. For Mark, I was just gonna say, whenever I think of him, I just remember that one really silly scene where he was like, "Hey, Nekomamushi, give this note to Luffy." Give this note to Luffy. I'm not going to Wano. And then we cut over 20 chapters. He shows up to Wano, and then he rips up the note saying, "Yep, he doesn't need this anymore." And then the note was simply gonna say, "Hey, I'll show up later." It's like, oh, dude, what was going on with that?
Oda just dropped that plot line.
I think that was a goofy plot. See, like when people talk about like, oh, like people, they sugarcoat everything Oda does. Like, no, he makes mistakes, dude. I mean, some things do seem a little bit wacky, but this chapter though, which is what we're about to get to, this chapter I think is pretty solid. After a reaction piece, we go back to the giant ship. Dory, Brogy, and Luffy finally make it aboard. We get a shot where Luffy's standing beside the giants. Frankie and Sanji are talking to him. And then we see that Bonney has aptly dealt with the vice admirals, Doll, Bluegrass, and even the Sea Beast. The Sea Beast caught some of that smoke too, and they're all now kids. Surprisingly, though, Bonney didn't end up kicking them, right? Because I think for Pomsky, Bonney turned him to a kid, and then she punched him into oblivion. She simply turned them into kids and just left them alone, which I guess is fair. I guess Oda doesn't want to draw us kicking little girls. That's perfectly fine. And yeah, a lot is going on here. We see that Kashi's pulling a Weekend at Bernie's. They're kind of just hauling around his dead body. Oh, I thought that was pretty funny. Luffy's eating some food. Marcus Mars shows up, and yeah, there's a whole lot to take in here. So where do you want to start?
I think largely everything that you just brought up, not that none of it's important, but more so like it's so nonchalant. Like most of the conflict or problems that like the main characters are currently facing are kind of diffused. There's not really much coming at them. Like you said, they didn't even they're not even truly fighting the Vice Admiral Doll and Bluegrass, like if it's preferential treatment, right? Like the giraffe also got it too. Cute giraffe, it ended up looking like a Lapras. But there's just like a sense of like especially when Luffy enters and they're just casually talking, and yeah, we could enter in that, like when the Mars starts coming at them, we could even take it a few pages more and say like even when he starts attacking, it's like an air of like not that, like they're not that worried. The only concern really is just regrouping. Where's like the rest of the crew? Yeah, and like other than that, it's just kind of like an acknowledgement. I feel like one thing is like everyone who's with Luffy, aside from Vegapunk, who like Stella at least, like who died, like everyone around Luffy has kind of just been chilling, sort of. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of relaxed more so. At least like, yeah, obviously when the five Gorosei were all together and they showed up, that was scary. But like in general, Luffy kind of diffuses a lot of that fear. And in this chapter, that's still true. Like there's nothing that they're currently facing is nothing that could like that current Luffy even sweats at. Even when Mars shows up, I don't think he's sweating. Like that single Mars, not really. And like we can even it's depicted there when Mars throws his his hyper beam at the ship. It took was 3 shields to deflect 3 giant wooden
That's
shields.
so nuts. Those Atomwood shields going crazy, man.
Yeah, and if the Atomwood can do that, or if the Giants can do that, Luffy's batting it backwards. Luffy's eating it. Luffy's cooking food with it. Like Luffy's redirecting it or glowing. Like when Kizaru hit him with the beam, like Luffy's just like, it's hot. Like Luffy's doing something silly. I don't see why he's wearing, like at this point with Luffy, like the fire that's currently burning the ship, I'm surprised he's not eating that fire. Like, I'm
yeah,
surprised
Luffy's the
like,
sun god, man.
Yeah,
just
like,
suck up that fire.
Yeah. And so like obviously this part was like in my opinion, like a means to like the next part, which is where we get like the Bonney stuff and whatever. But before that, there was actually an interesting thing that I think like was probably like one of, at least for a bunch of my videos, that now I'm glad that I stalled them, because it's kind of interesting because York gives us an update on how Punk Records works. She goes, I just checked who's still interfacing with Punk Records, and she sees that there's like Lilith and Atlas. Not only can she see that they're connected, but she can also see where their like exact locations were, which is kind of funny. Like we did know that this would, like the location stuff was somewhat possible within the lab, but like it was kind of like inhibited by the destruction of the lab, which the lab has been obliterated in comparison to when Shaka said that. But then even more so that Stella was like, they connect to the records like once a day, and it sounded like it was like not all the time, and it's not like a continuously updating thing. But York kind of like tells us otherwise, and it's kind of because like, does that, like, is York also interfacing with it now that like her cover is blown? Is she interfacing? And I just thought that was interesting to like now, like I feel like all of the Punk Records inner workings in that context, we were kind of removed from it ever since we got like the Kuma flashback and the Gear 5 fight and the Gorosei showing up, and we left like the traitor Egghead arc part of this arc or saga of this arc or section of this arc. But now like Oda brought it back a little bit, and I'm kind of curious at how, like, if this, you know, how this plays out, because the Gorosei do want Punk Records. This is important. They literally say like they're talking about the nuance of it. It's like, it seems like even if Stella dies, it continues to grow. Well, that's like their idea of it. York's not substantiating that, but it seems like they're corroborating that, like, yeah, as long as York is still there, it still grows. But like, how do they connect? How do they disconnect? Like, can Lilith just leave? And like, how does, can they like sense it? Is it like voice of all things? Is Stella in, like, how did, and I feel like that's one of my, like, I want to know about that, and we're probably, I don't know if we're gonna get that given,
I don't
like,
think we
the
are.
message. Yeah, like, it's weird because it feels like a focal point. It feels like it's super important. It's like Vegapunk's dream to connect the world to this records, and then he's not. Like, Chopper's like, whoa, I can cure. Imagine all the people, like, you know, the medical science. It's like, dang, like, Wano would have loved if you had this knowledge back then, Chopper. But yeah, I thought that was like an interesting insertion that shouldn't be forgotten, even though I feel like it's not going to be put in the forefront, given the, apparently the hands it's going to land in is the godhead of science himself, Saturn, and who knows what he's going to do with it. Who knows if do you think that they'll eventually be able to connect to it?
The Gorosei?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they obtain Punk Records, then yeah.
Like, York will be able to.
Imagine it's like made for just celestial dragons at this point, right? Like, York becomes a celestial dragon, the Gorosei have it, and then they're like, hey, we want to share Punk Records, but only with the celestial dragons.
That would be a crazy buff.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Like, talking about buffs, like Punk Records being like an asset. Like, you know how insane it was when the Gorosei revealed that they have telepathy and they could just like communicate, like, across islands, like across the world. They could just be like, shit's code red, code red. I need assistance. Power Rangers assemble, and then it just showed up, right? Like, if the enemies can just talk to each other, that's insane. That's so helpful for them. Like, and we saw an essence of that in Onigashima with the Marys, right? Like, how helpful it was to get like updates between CP0 and the thing, and then it ended up becoming like an announcer thing. But at the end of the day, like, that communication thing, like, I think Kaido was just like, yeah, tell them I defeated Joyboy, and that simple message was able to like almost defeat the entire enemy force, because they were like, oh damn, Luffy lost, I guess it's over. But you know, it took the ignorance of the Straw Hat crew to be like, no, he's not dead, I don't believe it, right? But if the enemy is able to like perpetuate ideas or messages through Punk Records like that, that'd be kind of cracked. That would be an insane buff, actually. I'd like that.
Oh yeah, that'd be huge.
Be cool. Damn, now I want that.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
So we go down a little bit more, and we actually see that Nami and the group are ready to leave, but they need help to land safely. And what's funny is that if you look at the background, you can actually see Venus. He's kind of like, you don't see a clash, but you see like his little clouds in the background. I thought that was kind of funny. And yeah, like, now that the Thousand Sunny needs to be assisted, it's our time to shine, man. We've been talking about the Thousand Sunny potentially getting damaged, needing repairs, or just something happening to it in general, because Frankie's bounty poster is of the Thousand Sunny, right? Like, does he become one with the ship? Does Frankie save the ship? Does he not save the ship? We don't know, but Frankie is taking all the responsibility onto himself, because, you know, Sanji's like, hey, I'm gonna rescue the ladies, and then Frankie says, okay, I'll make sure the ship isn't damaged. So I feel like that's going to be a pretty big plot point.
Wait, but Sai, isn't Frankie insinuating that the ship can be damaged? Doesn't he know how Atomwood works?
Yeah, I don't think Frankie knows how Atomwood works, actually. Now that you mention it. I mean, Frankie's just not the smartest guy out there, right? Like, the Thousand Sunnies made out of Atomwood. It can easily and safely jump off a Sky Island and be fine.
Frankie's such a fraud.
Yeah,
if he really was
what a maniac. Right. I mean, first Venus tried to cut it. Now Frankie's talking about the Thousand Sunny getting damaged. Like, dude, why do these people think Atomwood can break? I don't know.
Yeah, like, we know that Iceberg helped with the Thousand Sunny. Now it sounded like Iceberg just built the whole goddamn thing. We should have
Oh
got
my
Iceberg
god.
on this ship.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like, what do you think is gonna happen with a Thousand Sunny?
Um,
Do you think it's in danger, or do you think no? Because like another part of me is like, I think that the ancient robot could even save it. Like, there's so many things that could save it, right? We
right.
have the rubberized ocean. We have two sun god Nikas. We have giants that could just, grab it. We have Dory, Brogy, Oimo, and Kashi. We got Sanji who can skywalk and maybe do something. Like, there's just so many things that could save it. So it's hard to imagine that something bad happens to the Thousand Sunny, but we've seen crazier things happen though.
Yeah, like
under weirder circumstances. Or
it's in a similar boat as what I was talking about. Like the fear factor on the Straw Hat side is not there for me.
It
at least
is
I
not
don't
there
see
at
it.
all.
And to the point where like the development later on, like I'll talk about it when it happened, when we get to it, but like at the end of the day, right now, the Thousand Sunny, like you said, this is what we've been talking about since the beginning. It feels like if not here, it's definitely later, but like here's a good point to do it. It's just like at this point, it's odd if Venus literally wanted to, he wanted to do it, and then Zoro and Jinbei intervene. So it's like if Oda wasn't gonna put the Thousand Sunny in harm there, Kizaru's mission was at that point was to stop the Straw Hats by destroying the ship, and he was like he destroyed the Vega Force One in like that was carrying, and it was like inches away from affecting the Thousand Sunny. So it's like
Haku almost cut it.
Yeah, Kaku. Like so many times we've been inching towards it, and at this moment right here, it's like how do the Straw Hats let it get destroyed? I don't think fall damage is it. They survived Wano, right? If fall damage from a Sky Island, that like Vegapunk Sky Island, is gonna damage the Thousand Sunny more than what the Going Merry, like the Going Merry got obliterated, but the Going Merry is already obliterated. It went to Sky Island on life support, and so it landing getting destroyed made like it was like a nail in the coffin, right? But like we saw, like Roger, I guess safely landed, but like the Thousand Sunny falling and getting damaged, just like it's not really, that doesn't really make sense.
Gorosei
so it
has to do it.
Like, the Gorosei have to do it, but like the Gorosei being able to do it at this point, my God, they couldn't even damage Usopp. Like the weakest Straw Hats defended.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's 3 Gorosei though, right? I mean, we're gonna get Jupiter, Warcudi.
They're landlocked. One can
Mars.
fly. The other one can jump really high.
Jupiter's a worm. He can suck things in. I think he can spit things out. And then Warcudi's a swordsman. I mean, well, not a sword. He's a tuskman. So maybe he whips out the tusk swords again and he like sends slashes. Like it's like you said, I don't know. And the thing is, I think it will be great if the Thousand Sunny does get damaged, because we go to Elbaf, we get more Atom Wood, maybe even more refined Atom Wood, like you said. Like I think there's so many benefits out of that. And plus, Elbaf right now, I don't believe there's a poneglyph there. I don't think there are many reasons to go to Elbaf minus meeting the giants. And I feel like because there's no reasons to be there, as far as the One Piece goes, I feel like we would want to leave earlier. But to keep us on the island, Oda is going to say, hey, like the ship's going to take a week. And it's like, boom, okay, cool. Now we have this whole adventure. We can't do anything. We can't go to Hachinosu. We can't go over there. We have to stay on Elbaf. And that's perfect. Yeah. So I think getting the Thousand Sunny damaged will benefit us more than anything. It won't benefit the Straw Hats because, that's going to suck. But I think this will be a good thing in the end for the story.
Yeah,
that's my rant.
I'm with you there. And here's like another issue too. It's like the scope of it being damaged, they're like worried about it falling. And like I think we can segue into it right now, which is that like it doesn't even matter if it hits the water. Luffy rubberized the water apparently. Like even if they land in the water, like Luffy's down there and there's another one too, and they could just bounce. They could just bounce off the water. Like that's not even a concern anymore. Yeah. Like Luffy in Gear 5 just made it it would take a miracle for the Thousand Sunny to get damaged. 1, 2. The Gorosei targeting the Thousand Sunny just doesn't make sense anymore because there's the Elbaf ship.
Maybe the Seraphim. Maybe the Seraphim.
Okay, like if the Seraphim go
they can
and
fly.
Even if they can do it, it's like why tell them to hit the Thousand Sunny over the Elbaf ship?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Because the Thousand Sunny can easily fit on the giant ship, like no problems.
Yeah, but the Giants can't easily fit on the Thousand Sunny, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
I just
like
don't know. And then plus, like, for the giant ship, it's not that durable either because they talked about how Bluegrass is putting a hole in the ship just by having the sea beast attack it.
yeah. Like targeting the Thousand Sunny is
Huh.
dumber almost, and it's
Maybe
like
Saturn does it.
because he didn't before. I don't know. I don't like it's odd, right? But like the, I see the endpoints for why, like you said, like next arc, like if we're lacking a villain and we're lacking like it, one could say Luffy learns about Nika on there because now we know the Elbaf like Nika legend was there. Luffy doesn't give a this chapter proved that it doesn't even matter about the name. It doesn't matter. Like Luffy will never care. It shouldn't matter to him. Like the context, maybe like maybe Luffy listens, right? And but the realistic thing though is like Luffy listened to Odin's story, and what he took away from it was samurais are cool and I'm gonna save them. At the end of the day, when he's fighting Kaido, Kaido's like, "Why are you doing this?" And he's like, "Samurais are sick, bro. Like, you're starving them, and you're a jerk." And it's like, wait, like there was a whole like, there's a whole other context here too that like you could have added. And he says, "No, you're starving them, and they're cool. Come on, bro. What are you doing, right?" Like Luffy could listen to all the Void Century, and he could just be like, man, all that dude was doing was laughing. He was making, and it's like, wait, what about the slavery part? And Luffy's like, I don't give a shit about that. Like, that guy had sick food. What do you mean? Like, I want to taste the food that he made. Like, if Joyboy ends up being a chef, I could see Luffy being pissed just because of that. He's like, you mean you killed the greatest chef? I want to eat his food. That's it. It doesn't matter about the context about like the Void Century or anything at that point. Like if Emu and the Gorosei killed a chef or killed like the tastiest shark or something or the sea, like you know what I mean, then Luffy's more mad than anything. And he said that like, I don't care about saving lives. I don't care about being a hero. I just want meat. If you tell him, if Luffy hears that Emu made like the tastiest meat go extinct, Luffy's gonna be so upset, and he's gonna be like, "You jerk! You don't belong on the same underneath the
You
same sky as
madman.
me." Yeah, that's it. Everyone else is like, "That's why you're mad. You're not mad about the 900 years of oppression." He's like, "No." I'm mad that this food isn't here. Aren't you guys? And he's like, no, that's not why we're mad. But that's Luffy. And so it's like for Elbaf, like I don't see that being like a huge thing. Maybe for the other characters. Now, like there's a few other characters I would cherry pick, but like again, the question is like, does Oda give them the focus, right? And then the other part of it is previously we were landlocked on islands for log pose reasons or villain reasons or like to line up things. Like the time skip, like the Straw Hats were there because they're waiting for Luffy, but like on Elbaf, what would be the case? And it's like fixing the ship would be the thing. The reason why the Straw Hats stayed at Post Eni's lobby is because they were waiting for the Thousand Sunny. So it's like that. I see the endpoint. It's just like now, now versus when we had said it. I don't know how we get to that part because like we're at the finish line, and now it's not just one Nika, it's two, and the Gorosei already had their hands full with one. I don't know how they're gonna deal with two. And
Yeah.
then you throw in the giants. We saw two giants, four giants held down two Gorosei. So it's like
Yeah, Oimo and Kashi
seven.
held down Venus for a second. Dory and Brogy cut off Jupiter's head. They knocked back Warkudi. You know, it's like these giants, man. They're really powerful. Like, yeah, sure, not all of them. I mean, they all are actually. I mean, they blocked Mars'
Yeah,
attack even.
yeah, yeah. So it's like
Like, it's just it's kind of interesting to see how we're gonna go from point A to point B.
yeah, like unless the Iron Giant just goes like, "Ew, that's a gross ship,"
Yeah,
and
maybe
just
the
like
Iron Giant does it, or maybe Kizaru. Maybe Kizaru comes back for one last hoorah.
true,
Now, I
true,
mean, the
true.
message
You're
is
right.
over. Like, he was mourning Vegapunk's death. He was listening to his message, but now that it's stopped, maybe he's like, okay, time to get back up for a minute.
Yeah. And maybe he's like, I was tasked with destroying the ship, and it's right above me. I might as well blast it out of the sky. I could like maybe like, and that's something going back to our last podcast was like, where does Kizaru fit in with the rest of it? He's here, and we know he's fine, and like he's also an
Yeah,
admiral level character. No one has touched him
taking a
for
little
how
nap.
many chapters? Yeah, he's recovered. He's like a Garp kind of character and a Kainu. He's fine. He could probably lose an arm and a leg and still be the strongest guy on the island, right? Like there's two weird factors I would say that aren't covered by this. Yeah, like Kizaru, and then also Zoro and Jinbei. I'm more worried about them. What is happening with those?
Yeah, those are. I feel like Zoro and Jinbei are the only two people I'm actually worried about on the Straw Hats. Not because like, oh, like they're gonna die. It's more so like, how do they get on the ship? You know, like does Jinbei like contort the clouds and Fishman karate it over? Do they simply jump in the water and Jinbei summons a shark?
And then
don't know.
Even if they don't get off the island, right? Like I'm not even worried. Keep them by themselves. Jinbei's literally a character that has been by himself for most of the post time skip anyways.
Yeah.
And he's been fine. And he decided to walk up to a Yonko, still fine. Literally swam to Wano, fine. Right? Like Zoro's also a character, fine. I'm not worried about that. But it's also kind of weird. It's like, even if we left them to their own devices, where would they go? What would they get out of that? That's more, I'm like, I don't want to like off screen them and then like not know what's happening. I care about Zoro, I care about Jinbei. I want to see what happens to them. Like I thought about the option where it's like Zoro and Jinbei get captured, but like imagine two devil fruitless characters.
That would be too blasphemous.
Because remember we talked about like how do you chain up Mihawk? Like you don't, like you can't, or like Shanks, you can't. Like they're just characters that just, it doesn't make sense to put them in Impel Down. You can't. You kill them. Right? Like Roger being in prison only made sense because he was dying of cancer, and like we don't know how strong he was there. But even then, it's like I would imagine his hockey could free him, right? So Zoro and Jinbei are just like characters that it's like I don't see how, unless they could force feed them devil fruits. That would be kind of wild. They force feed them devil fruits and then imprison them.
My God,
that'd be crazy.
Give them a little buff while they're at it.
Yeah, buff, nerf, whichever way. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it is, it's an odd, interesting thing.
You know what's one thing we didn't talk about yet?
What?
Saturn. So Saturn, we don't know where he's going, right? Like we don't see him going to Luffy's group. So there's a chance that Saturn could be going to the Thousand Sunny.
And doing what, might I ask you? Is he finally gonna use spider webs?
I think so. I feel like if there's a way to stop the Thousand Sunny, spider webs. Like imagine they coup de burst and then boom, stuck in the spider webs, and the only way to get out is to like break the ship, or maybe the spider webs are like Gofi strings where it's like super sharp. I don't know.
Maria's like really tough too? Like
Black Maria's are super tough.
Yeah, they have to be
these
frozen.
spiders, man. I don't underestimate what comes out of Saturn's ass. And
I hope it comes out of his ass. I've been waiting for it.
Oh, me too. And even if Saturn doesn't do the spider webs, he is going to be fighting Nami's group. But I'm just afraid that if he doesn't have the webs, they're just going to coup de burst and leave him in the dust.
He's just going to start spitting after them.
And it's so awkward too, because like Saturn already fought Nami's group beforehand. He was right next to the ship. But of course, the message takes priority, so he left. But it's also like it's just weird knowing that he went up and down and up and down. It's like, dang, dude, I do feel bad for Saturn. Like the world is set up against him.
Yeah. I can agree to that. It's low key like the Green Bull like feeling where it's like yeah, we can shit on him, but realistically, he was put up against Shanks, the poster boy of One Piece, right? Like that's not fair. That's never fair. Like nobody comes out looking like let's look at the other guy who came out.
Whoa, don't say that too loud, Par. Yeah, well, when you start bringing logic into it, like, oh, like, hey, put anyone in front of Shanks, the entire Red Hair crew, they would lose. They would call you a Green Bull supporter.
And it's like, hey, like I'm not a fan, but it's also like Shanks. It's just not fair. Like there's a reason why one of the most hated characters in the series is Kid. Like not hated, but like gets the most hate. And it's like, oh, who's his opponent? Shanks. Oh, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and like Mihawk and Blackbeard are so volatile to talk about. Why? Because Shanks is in the conversation. You take Shanks out of the conversation with a lot of them, you diffuse a lot of it, right? But
I think Shanks is just so beloved.
Yeah, and it's like, there we go. Green Bull. There's a reason. Green Bull was shitting himself for a good reason. He broke the fourth wall in that moment. He wasn't shaking because of Shanks. He was shaking because he foresaw Twitter. He was like, "Oh
He
no!"
saw he saw Oda, dude. I mean, what Oda did, dude. Oda literally said that if the character that resembles him the most is Shanks. So you think he's about to make Shanks look bad or lose? Hell no. Green Bull knew this.
Yeah.
When he got the Conqueror's Haki, that wasn't Haki. That was just Oda's pen.
Yeah,
Just ready to write him out of existence, dude.
Yeah. And right now, Saturn's feeling that, except he doesn't get the benefit of facing Shanks right now. He's facing
Nami,
worst.
Usopp, and Chopper.
Yeah, worse than Shanks. Like we can't give Hockey Man tax to the Straw Hat crew. We can say that about Shanks, like, oh, he's the strongest guy, right? But we can't say that about literally. Saturn got touched by every single one of his opponents, and embarrassed, and it's to the point where we can't even give him snails because he took out 2 snails while Mars took out 40. Saturn had to bonk a few. He couldn't even use Conquerors for most of them. We saw 2 drop from that, and the earlier ones are him playing whack-a-mole. It's like, bro, just use Conquerors. I think the role, and the thing is, his role can get cannibalized because I was thinking about it earlier in our conversation. I think Jupiter's the best character to take Punk Records and Mother Flame, take them in his body and transport them. But I feel like right now, the way it's playing out, it's like, are we really gonna have a worm go up there, or are we just gonna have Saturn cocoon them, or I feel like cocooning them is what his role is, but that's tangent, contingent, whatever. Contingent on the fact, on the variable, if he has webs, which I want him to, but I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe he comes up here, and before they Kude burst, though, maybe he stares at them and they all get frozen, and then we get a hint as to how it works. Maybe that's it.
But Sai, after the time skip, all the Straw Hats are stronger than. Oh no, that was Usopp, I guess. No, that was was that a fan thing? I always forget. I always ask you. The Usopp is as strong as Arlong or something like that.
It's, you're thinking of the myth that Usopp post time skip is stronger than Zoro pre time skip.
Yeah. That I know it's a myth, because I always, whenever I bring it up, I always ask you, was that real or not? Was that a fever dream?
It's not real. A fan made it up and passed it off as an Oda interview, and then people just believed it.
Yeah.
But that is not true.
Myself. But between you and me, we've read enough of SBS to be like, that doesn't even sound like Oda.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like something Oda would really say, anyways. To randomly scale him to Arlong.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Twitter.
Oda just comes out, starts power scaling. Hey guys, if you want to know the hard hitting facts, let me tell you real quick about pre time skip and post time skip.
Yeah, Usopp is about 1 Arlong now.
It's 1 Zoro.
Yeah, if that was how it was phrased, Usopp is now 2 Captain Kuros, okay, that's believable. But saying he's as strong as Arlong or pre-time skip Zoro, I'm like, oh, that's full of shit. That's some Twitter nonsense.
It's a bunch of nonsense, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Saturn, there's a few things in this chapter that we kind of skip, but largely, I think we could go on and on about the variables when it comes to the Gorosei, right? Where it's what are they going to do, right? Because at the end of it, they're I sense something is amiss in the force, and obviously we know what they're sensing, but it's realistically, what can they do? They can't do anything.
It's hard, man. I'm starting to feel bad for the Gorosei. I said that Jupiter might be able to suck the ship back, backwards.
Yeah.
Because they were doing that with Luffy, right? I think they did with Luffy, he was starting to get sucked backwards, so they had to throw a building at him. There's no buildings here, so maybe Jupiter does bring the ship back to Egghead Island. I think that'd be pretty cool, but even then, I doubt Oda's gonna, do that. I doubt we're gonna get, Egghead 2.0 because we're stuck here, but...
I think they legit just need to summon the Holy Knights or Shanks or Akainu. I feel like this is it. This is the moment where they, on telepathy, is just it's time to pull out our trump card. And it's I wouldn't even be mad if Shanks was the trump card. I wouldn't be upset. Even though like I don't personally agree with that development, I'm like, I just want them to have something on their chessboard. Because at this point, Luffy Luffy is the queen that can do everything on the chessboard, right? I know Oda depicted him as the king and like whatever, but like realistically, as far as power goes, he's the queen. And then on top of that, Oda just upgraded a pawn. He upgraded a pawn. I'm not saying Bonney was a pawn, but Bonney is now also a queen in that scope. And now it's like, all right, we literally saw them get dog walked by a Luffy alone. Add Bonney, and it's like, bro, I don't know
Yeah,
what goes on.
Bonney. I will say this. Because the Gorosei are being dealt with in such a manner where we're not feeling threatened, you know, 3 Gorosei versus Luffy, Bonney, Sanji, Frankie, like, oh my god. Nobody feels threatened by this. You know,
Yep.
Luffy's already dealt with 3 of them, like you said. You add in Bonney to the mix, you add in Sanji and Frankie. Oh yeah, they're done. They're done.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Zoro and Jinbei versus Venus, no threat there. Saturn, he's kind of a joke, so we already kind of write him off in some weird instance, unless he has webs. But with how the Gorosei are being shown in this light, I feel like the Holy Knights have to be absurd. I really like. At first, I was teetering. At first, I was like,
Yeah,
you know, the Holy
yeah.
Knights, they might not be as strong as the Gorosei, below the Admirals, whatever. But at this point, it's like, okay, if we are in the reality where Bonney might be able to give other people Sun God Nika mode, or they go Sun God Nika mode too, even to a small extent, like even if it's 1% Nika, that's still a big power up. And I feel like the Holy Knights are going to have to compensate, because by the end of the story, we like Sword's going to be on our side. We might have some Marines on our side. Like, really, the world government, all they have is Cypher Pole, Gorosei, Emu, and Holy Knights. The Holy Knights have to be strong. Like, they got to be.
Yeah. There, Emu can offset it that much. I believe Emu can be that absurdly strong, but like effectively one person, and like maybe there's a world where Emu just insane buffs everybody. Like but like even
Maybe they have their
as
own
a
variant of Sun God Nika that they just give people.
right, and like but even like as a scope, as far as like leading up to that, it doesn't feel that's like the
It's like GME like skyrocketing 500%, going from the Gorosei to Emu at that point.
yeah, or like I was gonna say, like you know, a lot of people compare Naruto, right? And the power creep that happened was part of people's like least favorite thing there, where between Madara and Kaguya, it was like Madara was just clowning on everybody, but it was because Madara had infinite hockey because of the bullshit like jutsu that he was under. Infinite hockey, infinite regen. It's like, all right, you brought back a god. You brought back the
And
strongest
then the
guy
Hashira
and made him a
cells,
god.
or not Hashira,
Yeah. Hashirama.
Hashira's Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
That just the
Yeah.
latest episode.
So oh yeah, I'm caught up with Demon Slayer now. But
I'm sorry for your loss of time.
But you know, going back to things that matter, with the that stuff, it's like now imagine if Madara was just just I guess like the Zetsus are sort of cracked, but like imagine if Madara just gave like his jutsus to everybody on his side. Like every single person that got revived, they all now have like his jutsus. Like they can summon moons and stuff like that. Like that they all have like Sharingans and stuff like that. That would be like, yeah, on that level. But would that feel good? No. Even with Kaguya, the power creep there, it's like if Kaguya came back sooner and then just gave everybody like, I don't know, like Otsuki powers or whatever they're called, that wouldn't feel normal either. It's like you're just making it harder for Naruto, and it doesn't. It's not even that. It's like, yeah, it doesn't need to be a fair fight, but it's like it's not an enjoyable thing if you're just throwing on this ridiculous thing that, and then like at the end of the day they'll lose anyways. It's like I don't know. It's like what I'm describing, I would need a more like conversation to fully get to. But the point being is that I agree with you on the Holy Knights part. I think like we have the context clue to say that the Holy Knights are probably the main power, because Whitebeard, right? If we're now to say that, yeah, Garling was the person who started him, and like that was like that is concrete, and like even we were to say that that's still a theory, like it's not like Whitebeard has ever like he's mentioned. that means that he actually like recognizes the Holy Knights, even when Oda didn't want to say it. We've never even like mentioned the Gorosei. Like when he showed up at like the at Marineford, it's not like he, it's like you should have brought more people. Like when Roger said, right? Like I guess he did. Like he said, like Garp and Sengoku. I think he
Yeah.
said something like that. Like they have to activate, right? And it's like you could look at it like, yeah, he's not looking at the Gorosei as threats. He's looking at Garp and Sengoku as more of a threat, so which would put them on the field of
I
Garling. And then same thing with Dragon. Like
yeah.
Dragon's like he knows who his threats are, and he didn't say the Gorosei. He said the Holy Knights. So we could contextually maybe say that means that the Holy Knights are the main force.
And another way to look at it too is this was a goofy question, but I thought it was kind of funny back in the day, where people were like, oh, Sabo got hurt in that room with the Gorosei. If you put Shanks in there, is he walking, like, is Shanks walking away? And a lot of people were like, yeah, he's going to do fine. Like, especially with how the Gorosei are shown here. Like, if you put Shanks in place of Luffy, he might even just perform better outright. And if you take into consideration that Shanks' dad is the supreme leader of the Holy Knights, it's like, oh, like, usually the dads are stronger than the kids. That's typically how it goes in most shonen anime. And of course,
and
with
he
One
still
Piece,
looks good.
Yeah, and dude, Dragon has attacks from that, right? Not only does he have the title of World's Worst Criminal, but since he's Luffy's dad, people are expecting a lot of power coming out of him.
And he's Garp's.
Yeah,
son.
and he's Garp's son. So, dude, you put Garling in that same situation. I think we should hype up Garling too. So,
yeah,
I am expecting the Holy Knights to be absolute monsters. I pray, I hope. I thought the VAs were gonna be that. I thought the VAs were gonna be like the second coming of the Holy Knights, or like the the vanguard for them, but didn't turn out to be the case at all. I was hyping up a bunch of nothing. But yeah, the Holy Knights, man. Eventually we're gonna have to meet some strong villains, some strong opposition.
Yeah, and it's like counterintuitive for One Piece specifically. Even if you wanted to say like there are other stories that do it, I wouldn't even. I can't even pull one off the top of my head that would do it. But it'd be like the Toby Ropo being stronger than King, Queen, and Jack. And that's like it for One Piece. That's counterintuitive. That makes no sense for how Oda has structured it. That'd be like the hundreds and thousands being stronger than the named and numbers.
Oh, you're talking about like them being stronger than the Gorosei?
Yeah. Like how it's been set up, but it's like now it feels like that's the case, and maybe we've just been assuming the Gorosei have been a different scope.
I mean, it's like what people asked, like when we first got the titles. I think we talked about it too. Like, are these titles that the Gorosei have? Is it just for show, or are they actually just they're things? And what if they are just like the politicians of the Celestial Dragons, and the Holy Knights are their executors, which is kind of how it seems, and that's typically how it would go. Right, the Holy Knights, like Garling was the one who executed Mosgard. So it's like maybe that is the case. Maybe the Gorosei, while they are super powerful, at the end of the day, they're just like the figureheads. They're only specialized in that one department. They're not the fighters of the Celestial Dragons. Which I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, like and that's fine. Like because then like that debate goes back to before, like when we first started collabing. How it's like, can the Gorosei even get off of the couch? Right? Are they just politicians? Well, they're politicians, but they're also like insanely durable and strong, and maybe their power is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to it. Like they have a strong foundation for when they do get buffed, if they get buffed by Emu later down the line, which I do believe is a thing. I'm not opposed to Emu having like a wide buff, and I say that because I believe that Luffy and Nika will provide the opposite too. It might even be that Luffy provides it first and the Emu provides it on the other side. And it might be that the overwhelming power that Luffy has is then shot into huge despair in the face of what Emu provides the other side. But as far as it goes with like, we don't know how to damage the Gorosei, but also to a certain extent, we don't know how Luffy gets damaged either. Right, so it like in that scope, is it that the Gorosei don't know how to? Is it that they can't, or is it that there's like that's where the Holy Knights come in? Maybe the Holy Knights, just like how some people think that the Giants have a way to hurt the like eventually we're gonna find out some way that to hurt the Gorosei. Maybe it's that's what like the Holy Knights have that down, right? Maybe even Shanks knows. You know what I mean? Like given his role in the world, where he's positioned.
Oh yeah, I feel like Shanks knows 100%.
Yeah, like how to hurt Luffy and the Gorosei. Probably has both sides, and maybe the fact that he is headquartered on Elbaf is the link to the idea that the Giants probably have the link towards Luffy and the Gorosei. But the interesting part is that the Gorosei acknowledge that they have no clue about what they're staring at the Gorosei. They literally said, I don't know a single race like this that does that responds like that, regenerates like that.
But one thing we have to keep in mind is that this is Dory and Brogy and the giant pirates talking. We don't know what the giant royalty is like, right? We don't know about Prince Loki. Yeah. We don't know about the king or the queen. So I feel like they could be more well-versed in the world. They could have all the Shanks knowledge that he has. We're not exactly sure. And they also have the books from O'Hara, so they should know stuff, right? They should know, but giants are notoriously fighters. So that's probably why Dory and Brogy don't know.
I'm going to say this rudely, but it's going to be the BS thing that they just have like the perfect information right on Luffy's journey. But it makes sense because Elbaf is like like 3 generations ago is Void Century for them. Their tree is
their great grandparents just were a part of the Void Century. That's essentially
they're isolated, right? But like what you were saying is like Dory and Brogy are Jinbei. And Neptune, Jinbei doesn't know about ancient weapons. Jinbei doesn't know about Joyboy. Jinbei doesn't know about all these things. But Jinbei is still the first son of the seas. Jinbei is like the strongest fisherman in the world. And it's like, but that doesn't mean that he knows anything. He was literally a royal guard. But like, I doubt he knows what the ministers know, right? The ministers, the right and left hand, they're like the Gorosei.
We could turn what you said into the Gorosei talk too. Like, King Neptune, he's a fighter, but he's not strong. Jinbei was the powerhouse, Jinbei is like the holy knights of Fishman Island.
No, I can't agree because I actually have my agenda. I did this in the top 30 or top 50. King Neptune's there. Still, right now, he is there. After we saw Garp.
So you guys, that's the end of today's video.
I know.
That's it. Okay, we're leaving, guys. That's it. Par thinks King Neptune's in the top 30 strongest characters of One Piece.
I said top 50.
He put him in the top 10. He put King Neptune over Katakuri. He put King Neptune over Mihawk. Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, fine. But Prime Neptune is definitely up there.
Prime Neptune. Never in my life did I think I'd hear those words.
The only reason why he was weak was because he broke his back. That's why. Hody got the benefit of fighting an old man. That's not. It's like the Jake Paul Mike Tyson thing. If Jake Paul wins against Mike Tyson, it's because Mike Tyson's 60, right? And it's like we're not gonna gas up Jake Paul because he does that.
Dude, what feats does Neptune have?
Neptune's his ultramarine was like 1,000 times wider than anything Jinbei has shown. Even the shoulder throw on Onigashima using Zunisha's bathwater. When you look at what and he threw out, I think he threw out 2 of them, and then his back got blown out. So and that's not fair because he's old and he's a royal. He has the Akainu death tax, and he's also depressed because his wife got killed, and so it's fine, it makes sense. You could say that he has the Whitebeard problem of being sick, except his is depression.
Okay, here's my thing.
Prime agree. Neptune knew a few people. He knew Whitebeard, he knew Roger, and
because they had to come to the island. He's required. Stop! It's like the one gas station in the middle of nowhere. People have to go there.
Neptune is ready to throw down with Roger. He said, "Yo,
because he has to defend his country. What do you mean? It's like border patrol."
Yeah, most people wouldn't look at Roger especially if they knew Roger. They wouldn't be. That's like I don't know. That's like Usopp. I guess Usopp.
Okay, that's like saying if Mike Tyson came into your house and started beating up your family, you wouldn't do anything because it's Mike Tyson. Of course Neptune's gonna fight him.
No, but all right. But the difference is, Neptune looked confident, and also he was friend.
Why would you show fear?
Whitebeard, right? Only gave respect to people who were strong. Odin was strong, so he called him a brother. And Whitebeard didn't defend Wano on behalf of Odin, but he did defend Fishman Island for Neptune.
No. Hear me out. I'm not disagreeing that Neptune is strong. I think putting him in the top 30 is absurd, though.
Okay, what about Prime Neptune? I gotta
Still
get you on Prime
absurd.
Neptune. No, Prime Neptune's
Still absurd.
nasty, dude. Prime,
No,
I
no.
swear, he's lit. You
You're
just hate
living
giant peas.
par
You
par.
hate
I'm gonna tell you right now, man. You're living
the
in a
father
distorted
of
future.
Poseidon, bro.
You're living in a
Literally,
distorted future.
no, Prime Neptune knew Whitebeard, and he's
Here's the
friendly
thing.
with
Here's the thing.
Garp.
I know
Garp,
what
how
we're
many
gonna get.
people?
We're gonna get a flashback of Roger's journey or Fishman Island, and we're gonna see Neptune do something in his prime, and you're gonna be like, "Whoa, guys, look, top 30! Woohoo!"
No,
Like I can
no,
already see it.
no.
He's gonna do the most basic thing, and you're
I
gonna be like, "There we go,
already
guys."
said- No. I'm not a bandwagon after the fact. I see it before it's gonna come.
But he's not though. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you're gonna hype up.
is.
You're gonna hype up this. What I'm saying is you're gonna hype up the smallest Neptune feats we get in the future. Neptune's gonna show up in the final war, do a single shoulder throw to bring everybody up or something, and you're gonna be like, guys, look at this.
Okay. See, but
There's no way.
Here's the problem with what you're saying. Is it wrong? Okay, is it wrong for people to hype up Don Chinzhao off of Garp when Garp showed his galaxy impact, and then realistically, you're like, wait. He was fighting Don Chinzhao in his prime, even if Garp was holding back. When we saw the anime, when we saw the thing, Garp was trying. They clashed with Haki, and Don Chinzhao would be strong off of that, right?
Yes.
And so that's what I was saying, that there's only a few characters that knew Roger, Whitebeard,
but okay,
and
so
Garp,
you're
and
giving him
all
strength by
strong.
association. He has not fought. He didn't fight Roger.
Yeah, but if his back wasn't blown out and he cared, like
that's the
thing
difference.
was,
Don Chinzhao actually fought with Garp. Dude, Neptune just said, "Hey, what's up, brother?" And that's it.
No, but we don't know about before that. Remember,
We don't. That's exactly it. We don't know before that.
He used to be the strongest person on the thing, but then he got depressed and he became a king and he couldn't fight anybody. And then also on top of that, the same problem with Jinbei was like if he took down Hody, it wouldn't fix the problem, right? Like they needed to manufacture things. But then King Neptune was like, yo, maybe Hody's right. Maybe Hody's right. I don't know anymore. I don't know. My wife wasn't right. I don't know. King Neptune, Prime Neptune. I'm telling you, dude.
No, it's okay.
Prime Neptune could destroy the Legendary Iron Giant.
So, final page of the chat. By the way, guys, I don't agree with anything Par said right there. So, if don't when you're adding him and targeting him, don't bring me in the conversation. So last page of the chapter, or last two pages. Luffy is activating the Gear 5th mode once again. We see the ocean waves are bouncing up and down. They're all now rubberized. It's kind of funny. The Marines equate it to an ancient weapon. They're like, yo, wait, an earthquake? Like, this is what Vegapunk was talking about. The sea levels, they're going nuts. The Don't is playing. We see Dory and Brogy dancing, even though they should be putting out the fire. And Luffy looks at Bonney and says, hey, I don't know how your powers work, but you can do it. And then Bonney uses Distorted Future. Give me a future where I am totally free. Last page, Kuma looks up at her. Really wholesome moment. It's almost like he's having the flashback. I think he is. So like maybe like deep down he's going through the memories again. It's just funny seeing his expressionless body just lying right there with blood all over him. And yeah, Bonney is now in Gear 5th. We're talking about the ancient robots. We don't have to go too crazy on that. The Gorosei are on their way. And at this point, the only question left to ask is just how do you feel about Gear 5th Bonney? Where do you think it'll go? Do you think she'll join the crew because of this? Do you see her as Luffy's little like cabin girl? He's going to train her up like Shanks or like Roger did to Shanks. Do you think Bonney will give this to more people? Like where do you fall on the Bonney debates? I feel like we've had this a bajillion times in this last week. But yeah, time to tackle it for the last time. Bonney.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like this ends up being like how we're gonna close the video anyways, because we've talked about this after chapter 1100, 1101. We already had spoken about not just at that point, it was the potential that she would activate this. The scope of when or how got solidified by Saturn when he was like, oh, she just doesn't recognize the connection between Luffy and Nika. And then Vegapunk just told her the connection. And so now she just sees literally the Lord and Savior of the Church of Kuma, Jesus Christ himself, Nika, sun god Nika, has descended from the heavens, and she has the ability to access any timeline possible for humanity. And so this was something that we talked into the ground before, which is why, like, at this moment, like, us talking about it, we talked about it heavily. We talked about my version of it and your version of it on stream yesterday. I'm sure on your videos you talked about death. I think you've been fighting people about it too, based off how we've been talking about it. I and then, like, in Zone and Brago Cole, like when we did that collab, we're talking about it.
Gear
So,
Fifth
like,
Bonnie's been a thing that's been in the works for months now.
yeah, Gear Fifth Bonney, I think, isn't that crazy. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Pretty predictable. The crazy part, or I won't even say this is the crazy part. How it could get crazy is the execution. This part has no like we talked about. Like, this isn't the execution. This was inevitable. And what comes next is the execution of what Oda's imagination is, and I have a lot of ideas on that. I've talked about them pretty much, like, in my first theory videos, on several podcasts, on several videos as well. And my scope of it is, whether or not Bonnie can allow people to access it, or Luffy, whichever version of it. I think the way you said it, Bonnie, because she can literally turn people young and old, so it implies that she can jump people in and out of timelines. I don't think that she can turn everybody into this free timeline, because it is contingent on their foundation, right? You mentioned it earlier. Mr. Five's kid was in the Nika pose, but that's because he's a kid, right? So it might be the younger you are, the more applicable you are, or the more likely you have the potential to be, the Nika, access the Nika timeline. I feel like if you're Bluegrass's original age of, like, ancient, then no, she can't turn her Bluegrass into Nika, but she could turn Chopper into Nika. I think Chopper can turn Nika into. I think Chopper can turn into Nika himself, because he has the human fruit. He has the base human fruit, and he's can change into any. We've seen him morph into multiple human forms. Ones that we've seen. We've seen him acquire new ones. We've seen him learn about new forms and then adopt them on his own. And so in our stream with Cole, I think that Chopper is probably the, like, as far as, like, if Bonnie was shown to it, Chopper is 100%. There's a few other characters around Luffy that I think that are closest to getting it. And if I were to, I'm gonna say two, and I'm gonna leave one blank. But if people remember the stream, I actually said the third one. So Chopper, Zoro, and then there's another character in the crew. Those are the prime suspects, all to being on their own, naturally getting this form. Like, the thing is, like, the freedom thing. The important thing that people have to realize: Bonnie isn't becoming Nika, she's becoming free. And so that's that, like, she didn't. And that's important, because when she first tried to fight Alpha, she wanted a Nika-ish future, and that failed. If she was already successful, she would have realized the important thing here was realizing that in order to be like Nika, it's not wanting to be like Nika, it's wanting to be like how Nika got to where Nika was, right? It's the same I guess, like, the same concept of, like, how do you become a billionaire? Did, like, all these people, were they money hungry? Were they chasing money, or did they invent something that ended up giving them all this stuff, right? Like, and then they, established themselves, and they had all the luck and fortune, and they abused and whatever to get to the billionaire status. It's like, but if you go back to, like, when they first started out, is it did they make that thing? Did they make a computer chip? Did they make electricity, or whatever it may be, because they were like, I want to be a billionaire? No, they had a dream that they fulfilled, and they succeeded, and then that ended up being crazy. Like, Jeff Bezos, go back to his very beginning. Amazon's a book company. He literally wanted to do logistics for books. And yeah, he had a fuller idea, but it's like, at the end of the day, when you listen to that stuff, it's like, the dream, there was so many other ideas that would have gotten him money sooner, There was so many other ideas that would have gotten him sooner. But there was something at the core of what he wanted to do there that led him to that thing. And it's a similar thing with Bonney. It's like, how do you become Nika? It's not by knowing the name, it's not by knowing the legend. That's not how Luffy got it either. Luffy still doesn't know the name, still doesn't know the legend, still doesn't even care about it. And that's the same thing with Bonney recognizing here. It's like, wait, Luffy doesn't even know what Nika is. So how did he do it? She thought about it and she remembered. Luffy goes, this is how I look when I'm most free. And she's like, oh, so I want a future where I'm free. Boom. She's canonically baseline a 12-year-old, so she has a good foundation of what Garp would say as limitless potential, and boom, she is able to access it. Now, if you're like Katakuri's age, I don't know if you could do it still. I think that that's like the ramification of like all of Luffy's antagonists. Is like when we've talked about this before. It's like a lot of Luffy's antagonists wanted similar things that Luffy did. They're not that far off from Luffy in a lot of ways. It's just something went wrong. Something tragic happened and they hardened themselves. They grew up into a world where they stopped believing in something and then they turned to an evil direction. And like Moria's a great example of something like that, right? And it's like, but had they believed back then and they had like the ability to access the future timeline back then, they did have the potential to be a Nika or a Joyboy or whatever it is. Now have they fully lost it? No, I don't think so. But the reason why Bonney can access it is because Saturn, which is why he's conveniently not in this chapter when the Gorosei like, something's wrong here, and then they're like, Saturn's just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you guys are talking about, right? Because realistically, Saturn's the one who put this in motion, right? I don't know if it would. The thing about Nika is that the problem is it's contagious. So once Luffy existed, once his name got out there, it's contagious. It'll be easier for more Nikas, more White Warriors to exist. That's the nature of Nika. That's why they fear Nika. That's why Luffy's crew like develops so fast. It's because like they're surrounded by that good environment that Luffy fosters, right? And that's 100-fold more true now that Nika exists. Everyone around him is going to benefit from that. That's like a shonen trope, but that's even more true here. And the question, like, as far as limitations go, I don't think everybody, even if they access White Warrior, even if they access Nika, it's not going to be the same extent as Luffy. I think Luffy's going to be the most durable, period, by the end of the story. I don't think there's going to be a character. There might be one. And I already, like, if people go back to my like thumbnail from like a year and a half ago, I had Buggy as a thing, but like Buggy's an interesting one too because like he's older, so like does he still have the same potential? I don't know, but like maybe he does. Maybe that's why like the Roger stuff, the Shank stuff, the speech that he just gave that inspired everybody, just words alone. Maybe that's indicative of like his potential to be similar to Luffy, right? The things that he achieved that Impel Down effortlessly is something that puts him on the same tier as Luffy, right? Narratively. So I could see Buggy being on that front. And that might be something that people might not like, but like I think as far as like the durability and extent that people get the White Warrior thing won't be the same as Luffy. So one thing that I think 3-Day, one of my mods brought up was like when I was bringing up the comparison of like Nika is Jesus and like what's happening here is Bonney was a devout Christian all her life because her dad was. And her dad was like, Jesus Christ is going to step down. She's like, I'm losing belief. I'm losing belief. And Saturn's like, you don't believe in Nika hard enough. And then Jesus Christ landed right in front of her face. And no wonder that she's now a believer and she can now access it because that's part of her power. But apparently Jesus had a follower, Peter, that Jesus was known to walk on water, and Peter apparently was able to walk on water for a minute. But because he lost faith, or his faith wasn't as strong or, as potent as Jesus himself, that Peter started sinking. So apparently, like, I like that idea. I think that Bonney is going to fizzle out next chapter. She has the power, and it might be super taxing. She literally says, I don't think I can keep up with you and then she accesses this power, I don't think she's going to keep up with Luffy in the grand scheme of things. And I don't think that anybody going forward, if they access this power, which is 100% possible, that's, you know, as far as conversation goes, I went on a monologue yesterday. If you guys care to hear that before the video comes out, go listen to that. But largely, me and Sai are on the same side as this development. We don't see a problem with it. We agree. We talked our heads off yesterday. I think like we're tired of like saying, because we expected, we talked about this maybe on like 6 different occasions that this is gonna happen, and now it's like it's on the screen and it's almost like uninteresting because it's like, yeah, we knew, we saw it, and now we're just excited for next chapter because it's like, dude, like it's here. And I think my biggest surprise was that it was so soon. And going back to something that I say I talk about now, was that my biggest thing on this was that it's not needed in the scope of like one Nika was enough to take care of everything. You add another Nika, and now we're like, now we need the Holy Knights here. Even if Bonney lasts for like half a chapter, I still think they need to call in the Gorosei need their Buster Call. They need
100%.
their Denden Mushis to call for Garling. I that's what needs to happen at that point, right? So I think I answered most of your questions, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And there's gonna be a video hopefully coming out today or tomorrow about my full thoughts about this. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm like I said, I'm a big fan of Bonney. I think there are a lot of drawbacks. Like, we haven't seen Bonney use Distorted Future for a prolonged period of time. Every time she's accessed Nika like Future, one page, one panel. I don't think this is gonna last too long. I don't even think it'll last to the end of next chapter. I think it'll be like maybe half a chapter at the very most.
Yeah.
And, you know, Luffy has the mastery over his fruit as well. Like, Luffy has all these abilities that he has used before. Bonnie's only thrown a punch. I think Bonney will access, like, the cartoonish gimmicks of Sun God Nika, but will she be as versatile as Luffy? I don't think so.
No.
And I feel like that'll be the same for most characters. And I feel like she'll even have her own distinct fighting style, right? Like, for example, she used, like, this weird baton gun thing, which was the NDE. Luffy doesn't have that. Bonney uses pistols. Luffy doesn't have that either. Like Bonnie's just not the same fighter as Luffy. I mean, even going back to like Stampede, because we don't see Bonney fight that much. But Stampede, you know, Luffy's over here throwing punches. Bonnie's over here trying to perform acrobatics on Douglas Bullet. Like, even though this is a second Nika, we shouldn't view this as a clone of Luffy, because it's not that.
Yeah.
And even just boiling down to like hockey, voice of all things. Luffy has the actual Sun God Nika fruit, which has the will of Sun God Nika. Bonney doesn't have that. She's simply tapping in. And, you know, people are like, oh, like, if Bonney can do this, what else can she do? Can she, you know, tap into a version where she's Mochi? Or, you know, can she do a version where she's like a Logia? It's like, yeah, probably. And that's what her devil fruit is. It's just to tap into the multiverse. It's like that. It's like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I hate that movie. But in that movie, the whole gimmick is that she can tap into any reality that ever has existed. Whether it's, oh, like, I'm a martial artist, you know, it's a timeline where I took up martial arts, and they learned martial arts like that. There was a future where their fingers were sausages, and they had that future too. Like, that's the whole concept of the multiverse. Like, there's literally any possible outcome is out there, and Bonney has the ability to do that. Yeah, and I think it will be really taxing. I think that's how Oda's gonna nerf it. And we do have to remember that this is a base devil fruit as well. Whether or not like it's an actual devil fruit because it's Saturn's experiment, we don't know yet. But it's still the base level. Like, it hasn't awakened yet. I feel like there's still a lot of room to grow, and I think Oda is gonna make that apparent too.
Yeah. I think, yeah, exactly. There's going to be drawbacks, and I would be baffled if there weren't. But also, like, when you stitch together some of the key statements throughout Egghead, it all lines up with what Bonnie's depicting right now. But in line with those key statements, most of them had some kind of failure to them. And, like, for example, to throw in, like, I'm not going to go through the full quote because, like, I'll do that in the video, but Vegapunk said that it's unnatural. There's some kind of unnatural contingency with accessing these dimensions that Mother Nature just rejects. We don't know, to the scope that we currently have, is that water just rejects them, bodies of water. So what does it mean if, like, if you were to apply this to like an I'm trying to think of a mainstream series. The one I was reading actually has something like this, where like if you start accessing like powers beyond the reality of that dimension, what this series I was talking about or thinking about, like their concept is that dimension starts rejecting you. Like it purges you from that dimension and tries to bring you into the other, like either kills you straight out or brings you into the other place because you don't belong there. The world is rejecting you. And that's kind of what Vegapunk was implying there. It's kind of, that's the concept of like, yo, you can't swim. That's yo, water rejecting you is a crazy nerf. That's not, you can't bathe. That's disgusting a little bit. You know, swimming is kind of fun. You know, like that's I'm afraid of water, but I can swim. If I could not swim, I would not be on a boat. I would not be. I would. I would try to fly sooner than that. Like I'm surprised people haven't discovered planes in One Piece yet, right? Like the amount of fear that I would have if of deep ocean and I can't swim, crazy. That's bravery on its own, right? So like the I wonder if there's some kind of elevation towards Mother Nature rejecting Bonney for accessing this, and an inkling I will give is maybe that's where the sapphire scales come from, because that it was that not like the world rejecting them. They couldn't live under the sun. That's the sun. The sun, literally living under the sun, turned their skin to sapphire scales. That sounds kind of similar. I'm not saying the same. I'm saying that sounds like the world rejecting you on the same scope of you can't swim. You can't even be in a body of water anymore. So like, and again, Bonnie's power was derived from that experiment, which resulted in Bonnie's mom and herself getting sapphire scales. So is that the backlash then? But now that she's sun god Nika, or so to say, what does that mean? How does this rejection apply? Did Vegapunk truly cure it, or now that she's accessing these powers, the more she does it, maybe in the quick succession of it, the longevity of it, maybe she invokes the wrath of Mother Nature. And the thing is, Luffy can't fight Mother Nature either. You put Luffy at the bottom of the ocean, he's dead. Even in Gear 5, if you were to put him where Jack was, it's not like he's a fishman, right? Like he would technically die. Like yeah, maybe he could rubberize it, but he would still be locked there. Mother Nature is still more broken than Luffy. It's not like, yeah, like we don't know the scope of how Gear 5 would interact with Sapphire Scales, but like I would imagine that the moment that like Luffy starts developing scales underneath this, like the same thing with Roger, right? Like Roger couldn't beat an illness. There's certain things that Mother Nature does that's gonna be more powerful than things in the series. So it's like that's kind of where I'm like leading towards in some of these videos. But again, the other scope of it is I can't say for certain how Oda's gonna execute it and if he's gonna give us the full scope. But I do know, without a shadow of doubt, there is going to be drawbacks. There has to be.
Oh, yeah.
And Oda's been holding off on it for Luffy.
Yeah. And I think one thing with Luffy as well is that when Luffy first went Gear 5th and Bonney saw it, before she knew it was Sun God Nika, Luffy turned into his old man form shortly afterwards. And she specifically asked, what the hell is that form? Yeah. And then Jinbei hit her with the, oh, we'll explain it later. So does Bonney know, if Bonney knows that that is the repercussions of Gear 5th, there is a chance that she could turn the old man form, because that's exactly what she saw Luffy do.
Yeah. And like another aspect to it, to apply that in, you brought it up, and a few people, I think like Randy Troy or whatever, the Tamate Bako box or whatever, the energy steroid, whatever that is, right? Like that being a way for people in the past maybe to have accessed Gear 5 for a limited amount of time, but the repercussion is now you're permanently old, right? Like maybe that's how it was used back then, and Hody was just completely ignorant of that potential. Like the recognition would be, let's say you gave it to a kid and that kid was like Nika, so like Luffy, right? Okay, Shanks sees Nika in Kid Luffy. In order to expedite the timeline, Shanks gives that kid Luffy the energy steroids. If the way it worked with Hody Jones was it just accelerated his age in his current timeline and it made him that much stronger, but it advanced his timeline. Theoretically, if Shanks did that to Kid Luffy, he might just jump straight into a Nika timeline, but it's a Nika timeline that's like forced, and there's more repercussions to that. And it might be that like Bonney accessing this might give her like that kind of a repercussion, not like energy steroid, obviously, because her thing is like supplemented by the fact that it's enabled by a devil fruit power, and we've seen the devil fruit power reverse, and there doesn't seem to be like a stamina thing. It's not like Law's fruit where like Law says like he gets fatigued from using his room on a wider field, or more times that he does certain things, it fatigues him. We haven't seen that with Bonney yet. We haven't seen like her go like, oh, I've turned too many people young, or I've advanced this person too far, or jumped too many times. We've never seen that with her own powers, so I don't know if that would be a limiting factor here. But it might be that some of these timelines are dangerous to get to, and by accessing some of these timelines, it might be that there's like repercussions of accessing them, that you can't exactly reverse, maybe.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly what that means, because like like another weird aspect is Bonnie's permanently been, not permanently, but like technically permanently been in her older age form. How does she do that? How does she enable that? Does she just have to, when she turns back to a kid normally without like using water? Like if the idea is that when she jumps into like when she saved Zoro, did she consciously think I want to go back to my original timeline, or does she just turn off her power? When she goes into the seawater, that's reversing, that's like stopping her power from working, and she turned into a kid, I'm assuming, right? But like maybe when she goes into Gear 5, maybe she can't go back. Like that could be a repercussion. That'd be a crazy repercussion. Like, there's many ways that Oda can easily make this as a problem. And it could be that's why, like, the Saturn, that could be part of the failures too. Like he's, like you said yesterday on the stream, it's like we don't know the context of failures when he mentioned that. So like it could, maybe he had successes before, but they were still failures.
Yeah.
It could be that Bonney getting to this and then dying later was something that he achieved, but they died, so it's a failure, right? That could be it. It could be something like that. So we don't know yet.
Yeah.
And Vegapunk wouldn't know that either.
Oh yeah, and with Bonney too, or not Bonney, but the Tamate Bako box. I always found it kind of interesting how like after you hit that white-haired, red-eyed form, you turn into an old man, just like Luffy in Gear 5th. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, like I feel like that will come back. We will get more people in Gear 5th because it was kind of shown all the way back then. And I'm excited to see how it goes. I feel like Bonnie's not going to be the end-all be-all, and that's how we're going to get all the Nikas. I feel like she will probably do it, but I feel like there will be more than just one access point to the freedom form, as they call it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for next chapter. I want to see how Oda plays out this entire plot point. I mean, Bonney, I'm expecting her to have like full-blown Toon Force, just like Luffy. I mean, based on that last page, it looks like she even has her own Drums of Liberation playing.
Yeah.
Of course that's a little bit headcanon, but Luffy has the dun 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 dun, like the music notes underneath him. Bonney has the exact same ones. So
if I were to think
it does
about
look like it.
If I were to make a parallel, and this is probably the last thing before I tap out because I'm tired, but Tom and Jerry. Jerry had a Minnie Mouse that also had Toon Force. He was just not terrible, but like he had to learn from Jerry a little bit. Like he could still do it, and he had a baby duck thing that was like that they were friends with, and he saved the duck and stuff, whatever. But like Jerry was like Superman to that Minnie Mouse. I read the name of the mouse, but like I don't even know if it had a name. But Jerry was like God compared to, but that mouse still had the same powers. It was just not as potent, as capable as Jerry. Jerry was just like Tom also had the powers too, but Jerry was just better at everything.
Speaking of Tom and Jerry, man, like that was the basis of my other like emu theory. Like I believe that since Oda based Luffy on Jerry, I think we're gonna have a Tom-like character, and that's probably gonna be Emu. And in that interview that he did with the Detective Conan author, Oda said that it was hard drawing Luffy in Gear 5th in fights because Luffy's the only one like goofing around having fun. So, you know, like Tom and Jerry said it's easy because there's multiple ones. So like if we get more Sun God Nikas, it's like, oh yeah, like this is probably easier for Oda because everybody's all in the same tone. And you know, funny thing about Bonney too, last thing, but Bonney, her clothes changed. These are her childhood clothes plus the sash.
True.
So I wonder if like whenever you go Gear 5th, you get like your kid clothes back on.
Yeah, that's probably.
Which I mean, Luffy lost his SSG suit as well. So
yeah. Which
definitely a thing.
This is the thing with the anime, because the anime, like they added context and it's not necessary. Like it's weird because the manga we just assumed it was a change, but in the anime they added the context that Luffy takes off his clothes when he transformed, which is like, I don't know.
So maybe Bonney does the same thing here. No, Bonney had her clothes in the last page, so she doesn't take them off. They actually just like disappear.
Morph.
Yeah,
which
they
is
morph.
Which
that
like going.
timeline,
I think we talked about it like last Parcast, which is like the anime sometimes just adds a detail that's like, I don't know if Oda's checking that, but like that's one of them. I was like, wait, Luffy took off his clothes. Like he had to take off his boots, he took off his jacket, the SSG stuff, and then
that was kind of cool though.
Yeah, it looked cool in the Rob Lucci fight, but like now that doesn't work with the Bonney thing, because like what, she just had her childhood clothes on her like that. That's kind of weird, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
But so minus the childhood clothes, she actually got that black sash just like Luffy has.
Well, we don't know what color it is.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, purple sash. It's probably purple.
Yeah.
Because Luffy's
could be
is purple.
red, could be any color, but yeah, purple would probably be.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like, okay, like does the sash have something to do with freedom?
Purple's my favorite color, so that's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's not bad, not bad. All right, but we'll go ahead and end it here, guys. Shortest Parcast in a while. But we only got 13 pages. We both got things to do this weekend, unfortunately. I've got this war with a gnat that's flying around my room. If you see me clapping, that's why. It's been teasing me, dude. It flies around. That sly son of a gun, and I always miss him. But yeah,
are your cats supposed to catch them?
My cats don't care about them.
Oh.
But like if it's bigger, they'll get it. But like the gnat's too small. But
that's not a frog.
Oh no, goddamn. No, I used to have a lot of frogs back in the day. No, I didn't have the frogs, but my cousin had a restaurant, and there were a lot of frogs that played outside. And this is in lieu with the story of the ants. But I used to like get the toothpicks from the restaurant, go outside, and I used to put the frog on stilts. We'll end it there. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate you guys, and we will see you all next week. Peace out.
Next week.